The story opens with Anfet narrating his own tale. I'm a true roleplay addict and a hardcore casual gamer. Whatever game I play, I put my whole heart and soul into becoming the character, feeling not a single shred of embarrassment or regret about the role I'm playing. Right now, he is facing off against Edmund. He roars out a loud insult. "You filthy humans. All you know how to do is run for your damn lives?" Right after that, he launches another attack aimed straight at Anfet. "Die already and get out of my sight." His internal train of thought continues. Well, at least until before I logged into this freaking game. Getting attacked, he bitterly evaluates this trash game. Anfet constantly wonders while confronting Edmund, why the hell do I have to suffer this kind of pain? I just want to play a game and relax a bit to escape harsh reality. His lips press tightly together, biting so hard they bleed. Holding a long sword in his hands, Anfet shows an immensely determined stance. Now, this scene makes Edmund burst out laughing. "You think you can actually stand back up with that broken body of yours? Yeah, just die and get it over with. What could a pathetic trash like you possibly accomplish anyway?" He doesn't forget to add another remark. "Am I right? You just want to drop dead and be done with it too, don't you?" Meanwhile, Anfet raises his weapon high while thinking to himself, "I just want to quit this damn roleplay game already." Pushed to the absolute limit, he shouts out loud, "Just to go back home." The moment that sword slashes down is also when Anfet's true desire is revealed. "I want to go home." It all goes back to a moment before the screen displayed the game interface, confirming user connection, followed by a short line of text. "Welcome." Someone's voice echoes out. It all started with my little sister. She excitedly ran outside thinking Dad was back home. The white dress I bought her for her birthday was now stained a pitch black red, pierced through by a pitch black blade that swallowed even the light. Right after that, a blood-curdling cry echoed out. "Irina, no." The brutal sight reflects in Anfet's pupils. Next was Big Brother, who used to be the night captain, and following him was Big Sister, the one who took over as leader after he passed away. The white-haired girl decisively charged forward to demand justice. "You bastard." Hazy memories force Anfet to wonder whether tears fell from the corners of her eyes back then. Even if they did, those tears were quickly swallowed by tears of blood. A bizarre hand from behind reaches toward Anfet. My mother screams something out loud. She anxiously pushes him back. "Run, hurry up, my baby." The thing in Mother's hand back then, was it a kitchen knife or Dad's sword? Anfet burst into tears back then, screaming out, "Please, I'm a knight too." But his desperate attempt to join the fight yielded nothing. "No, you must run right now." The massacre continues. I think our father had returned by then as well. And then Anfet can confirm his memory after that point was completely hazy. All I knew was grabbing a sword. After that, the surrounding world suddenly turned blood red, then shifted to stark white, and finally plunged into darkness, until it was illuminated only by the faint, desolate moonlight. The blade pierced straight in my right arm and sank deep into the flesh. Anfet's footsteps stagger so badly he can barely stand. Right after that, he loses his balance and crashes to the ground. Right now, an eerily creepy voice echoes from behind. What a perfect vessel. The demonic hand reaches out toward Anfet, ignoring his desperate pleas. "No." The guy touches Anfet's face and continues. "You will eventually become someone great, won't you?" He can only shed tears, helplessly begging in his heart. I pray that a soul strong enough to overpower this evil nature, a powerful entity that will not succumb to evil, someone who can stand up and defeat the wicked demons. Please manifest yourself. Can you hear my call? Returning to the present, Anfet gasps, snapping awake with a start. He still hasn't recovered from these memories. Little expecting George's extremely impatient voice to call out, cutting off his train of thought. "Hey kid, are you going to get off the carriage or what?" The place where Anfet stopped was the Tatara trading post. He doesn't respond to George or show a single bit of emotion. But when Anfet suddenly stands up, the man startledly flinches. He decisively gets off the carriage without uttering a single word. Anfet's feet touch the ground at an unhurried pace. George watches his back and can't help feeling so annoyed he mutters curses under his breath. What an arrogant prick. Even though he hears those words, Anfet still shows no emotion. But the truth is, inside his heart, he's been screaming excitedly for a while. Man, this roleplay setup is straight up top tier. When I watched the opening cinematic, I actually thought that was my real past. That authentic feel leading into the beginner tutorial is seriously amazing. On top of that, these NPCs look as lively as real people. If I were allowed to, I'd probably be dancing wildly right in the middle of the street. It's like this right at the start. Am I even going to be able to maintain my character concept? Anfet looks at the space in front of him and continues thinking. The game just launched today, and this Tatar trading post is the beginner area. 15 years ago, this tragic masterpiece of a family game was shut down after just 5 years of operation. And what I'm experiencing right now is the remake on a VR platform. I'm a gamer who has been anxiously waiting for the day this game revives. And I'm also a true roleplay fanatic. Anfet covers his face, muttering. The reviews are seriously an eyesore to read, but then he himself has to wonder. Wait, normally I wouldn't even bother adding this symbol. I just felt like giving a shot once. Even though I'm just a casual gamer, it's not like I'm some edgy brat trying to act cool. At this point, you guys are probably curious about what kind of persona I'm roleplaying, right? Not curious? Whatever. Just listen anyway, cause it's badass as hell. He even prepared a detailed sketch. Let me show you the character concept draft I drew myself. Anfet slowly and steadily explains. My character class is Demon Knight, high difficulty Demon Knight. When the demon that slaughtered his family took residence in his arm, he turned his back on the path of righteous knighthood to begin a wandering journey. Despite despising the demon in his right arm to the extreme, it grants him extraordinary power. He uses that exact power to hunt down every kind of demon. He employs swift and fierce moves that perfectly match his violent yet highly sensitive personality. The demon that killed my family is now dwelling in this arm. I have no idea when it's going to completely swallow me up. Anfet continues to think of another terrible scenario. And once I'm fully controlled by it, the people around me will lose their lives, just like my family did back then, by the hands of none other than... Anfet reinforces his point once again. I'm the one terrified of that scenario happening. I always keep my distance from everyone, because I'm constantly paranoid about being consumed. My mind is always stretched tight, like a piano wire. I hide the lonely anxiety in my heart behind a cold, sharp exterior. Right now, he excitedly tells himself, and that is literally my character persona right there. Spent a fortune dumping money into this character build, but I don't regret it one bit. Look at this cape fluttering in the wind. This armored left arm clanking around. Seeing Anfet bouncing around in the street makes the surrounding people wonder. What's wrong with that guy? Is he taking a leak right here? This is exactly why I love playing roleplay games. Hearing that, he immediately regains his cold posture. Wasting time indulging myself too much. Now, the real roleplay begins. But what am I supposed to do next? Let's see. Normally, around this time, a quest log should pop up, right? After waiting for a while, Anfet still sees nothing. Where's the minimap? Where's the quest log? What the hell? Or do I have to sit and wait for a storyline NPC to come find me? Unexpectedly, a voice speaks up from behind. Excuse me, are you the Demon Knight adventurer? Anfet secretly rejoices in his heart. Here it comes. He slowly turns around to face the person who just called his name. Though his face remains expressionless, he's extremely puzzled inside. There aren't even dialogue options. I thought at least some key phrases would pop up for me to reply with. Usually there should be, right? The young boy standing opposite him finally speaks up. Is it really you, sir? Anfet coldly replies, No, it is indeed me. Then he lowers his voice and gives an order. Lead the way. His unapproachable appearance scares the boy, making him obediently agree. Yes, sir. The boy turns around and starts leading the way. You are heading to the Adventurers Guild, right? Please follow me. Anfet, following behind, observes and quietly judges. Look how timid this kid is. He looks just like a real child in real life. He imagines himself greeting the kid in a friendly way. Don't be so scared. Big bro here is super friendly. Walking along, Anfet makes comments. How could they design people and streets to be so ridiculously realistic? Various conversations echo all around. You gotta pay extra, but then my profit margin. Rebel forces, those damn demons. He makes another assessment, just like that worker NPC earlier. These lines don't sound like pre-programmed dialogue, but more like real-time reactions. But no matter how real it feels, they're still just NPCs in a game. Virtual reality tech hasn't been commercialized for long, but the speed of development is insane. Finally, the boy stops at a certain place. "We're here, sir." Anfet glances around, slowly surveying his surroundings. This crowded place is the Tatara Adventurers Guild. The boy steps forward and quickly calls out, "Receptionist, I brought the adventurer here." Inside, Anfet's heart is screaming nonstop. Holy crap! Are these sounds and graphics for real? Look at the floor texture. Even the sensation of stepping on it feels like walking on real wooden planks. Did the developers kidnap aliens to make this game, or what? Welcoming him is a girl named Isrin. "You've arrived?" She smiles and introduces herself. "Pleasure to meet you. I am Isrin, a receptionist at the Tatara Adventurers Guild. Your appearance is so striking that I recognized you immediately. You're the Demon Knight, correct? According to protocol, could you please show me your adventurer badge?" Anfet glances at the notification board popping up next to him. Inventory. You can open your inventory by reaching into empty space. Think of the item you want, then clench your fist. Flustered, he tells himself, "Hey, popping the window right in front of my face like this. How am I supposed to see where I'm going? Especially when I can only see out of one good eye. Everything else is beyond perfect." Then they go and mess up the status window display position. Guess there's still some human flaws after all. Anfet pulls out the card, and moments later, Isrin quickly responds, "Yes, confirmation complete. May I take you to accept the request right away?" Because the client is in an extremely urgent situation. Hearing this, he slowly agrees. Lead the way. Following Isrin, Anfet is super excited. Finally, the long-awaited beginner quest is here. If it's like the original version, I already know the overall plot of what's going to happen next, but I'm still so thrilled. However, when Vincent sees him, a comment is blurted out. "This guy looks even weirder than the rumors suggest. There probably isn't a second person with such a cursed face like this. Though thanks to that, he's easy to spot." "So, you accepted the request without even knowing the details? Is it bravery, or are you looking to commit suicide?" His blunt way of talking makes Isrin beside him remind him, "Guild Master." Meanwhile, Anfet secretly evaluates him. Wow, this NPC old man has a fierce, hot-tempered attitude. But it's no big deal, since this old guy is just a bundle of code anyway. Meaning I can engage in a verbal battle with a virtual old man without feeling a single shred of guilt. But Anfet immediately reconsidered. In some cases, if your affinity points aren't high enough, they won't hand over the quest. But since this is the beginner tutorial, he's bound to give it to me no matter what, right? Meanwhile, Vincent keeps pressing him. "Are you deaf? Why are you staying quiet as a stone?" Isrin hurriedly cuts in to stop him. "Guild Master, please watch your words a bit." By now, he has finished calculating. "All right, I've figured out my line." Anfet gets completely into character as he declares, "Your tongue is quite insolent." Both Isrin and Vincent drop their jaws in shock upon hearing this line. Their reaction leaves him confused. Why are these NPCs acting so surprised? But right after that, Anfet rationalizes it to himself. Could it be that these NPCs... Looking back now, I should have realized it right from that moment. Anfet is still puzzled as he watches the scene before him. Why are these NPCs so surprised? In front of him is the profile information of Vincent, the head of the Mob Ben Merchant Guild. Let's see if he can keep that arrogant attitude after hearing the details. Follow me. Reading this far, Anfet gets confused. Shouldn't the quest storyline pop up around now? The next person to speak is Isrin, Demon Knight. Did you really accept without needing to know the details? He evaluates in his mind. It's not like I wanted to do it. I'm just doing it because the game plot forces me to. But such realistic reactions. A roleplay addict like me absolutely loves it. Thanks a lot. Roleplaying is part of the experience, after all. After thinking for a moment, Anfet slowly speaks up. Hence, his demeanor clearly shows dissatisfaction. Are you saying the thing I'm about to go deal with might cost me my life? Anfet even glares as he questions. Those filthy trash mobs? Isrin is completely terrified seeing this reaction. Luckily, Vincent speaks up to interrupt. Instead of talking trash, hurry up and hand over the job. If you don't mind taking this on, we're more than happy to give it to you. Philip explains on his behalf. Something is wrong down in the sewers. We sent several workers down, but not a single one has returned. According to those who went down later, they said a nest of demons has occupied deep inside. I don't think those workers who haven't returned are still alive. So the task is to eradicate the demon nest and retrieve their bodies or relics. At this moment, Vincent speaks up to add, the demon hunters who went before all lost their lives inside, and the temple side works so slowly, constantly telling us to wait long. I called you here because I heard rumors of your skill, but with that skinny body of yours, can you even lift a sword? His careless question makes Isrin hurriedly try to stop the guildmaster. But the truth is Anfet is secretly wondering, why hasn't the quest log popped up yet? Or does it only show up after accepting? He slowly says, don't lump me in with those weaklings. It's just cleaning out a sewer. That confident statement annoys Vincent. Arrogant, aren't we? Seeing this, Philip quickly calls out, Guildmaster. Anfet just chuckles internally, avoiding their gazes. Sure, I purposely put on that act, but his reaction was so real, it almost makes me want to explain myself properly. Whatever, super realistic NPCs like this are way better than sitting around listening to other players complain. Once again, Isrin speaks up to wrap things up. So you're accepting this request, correct? Anfet confirms decisively. That's right. She begins processing the procedure mechanically. Then let me draft the contract. The quest objective is to eradicate the demons in the sewers. The side request is to retrieve the workers' relics. Next, Isrin turns to ask Philip, how many workers haven't returned? He quickly provides the info. There are 13 in total. She continues asking, what is the deadline for the quest? Philip explains in detail. It's 1 month. But since you traveled all the way here from far away, I'll give you 2 extra days. Meanwhile, Anfet is secretly wondering. Traveled all the way here and the quest log still hasn't popped up. I have to keep talking to progress the storyline like this. The developers must be aiming for an ultra-realistic experience. Isrin smiles as she talks about the reward. The reward is 400,000 gallons. After deducting the guild's 5% commission fee, you will receive 380,000 gallons. The impressive number shocks him. 380,000? Just a beginner quest, and the reward is this high? Wait, why is there a commission fee deduction too? Whatever, it's just in-game money. 5% isn't that much, but why do I still feel so stung by it? What's with this feeling of disappointment? She smiles brightly and adds as the paperwork is finalized. The contract is settled. Whenever you report the completion of the quest, just come to the guild to find me. Isrin turns to Vincent to get the final signature. Sir, please sign here as well. Right now, a notification panel finally pops up in front of Anfet. The quest content reads, things polluting the sewers. Eradicate the demons. Find relics. Find traces of the deceased adventurers. Rescue the child. Reading this, he's a bit surprised, not expecting the quest panel to show up only after signing the contract. These developers are seriously perverted. But this setup makes Anfet feel extremely satisfied. Then again, I actually kind of like this style. Philip speaks up again from behind. I've booked an in-room under the Merchant Guild's name. Guild members will guide you there. Here is the map of the sewers. You don't need to return it. Seeing the paper presented, he is a bit surprised. Even the mini-map is handcrafted. Right now, Philip declares with utter seriousness, then we are counting on you. Anfet observes him and notes the concern for someone who might never come back. Even so, the gaze and voice are those of a man doing his duty properly. The NPCs are designed with incredible subtlety. So thrilling, it feels like I'm about to step onto a theater stage. Then he simply responds coldly with a single line. Once I accept the money, failure is absolutely not an option. The iron gate slowly raises up. Anfet is now ready to step outside. The gatekeeper doesn't forget to call after him. We're relying on you, sir. Those demons have been giving me a massive headache. Anfet just silently replies inside. Yeah, I know, I get it already. The weapon he uses is the Great Sword of Destruction, a massive sword capable of crushing and destroying any obstacle. It instills terror in any enemy blocking his path. That's why I'm lugging around this super cool greatsword, right? Coming out of the gate, Anfet tests his weapon. He slaughters a rat, but its screech startles Anfet. His face shows utter confusion. Oh, why was that sound so loud? Did its durability drop? Or something? I swear I only tapped it lightly. Greatsword durability, 99/100. Anfet continues calculating. The sewers must be pretty narrow. Using a huge weapon like this could easily get stuck midway. Let's switch to another one. He switches to using a different weapon, longsword, the most widely used sword type, featuring great balance and high versatility. Anfet reflects with great satisfaction. All right, now I'm ready for a real hunt. Then he slowly steps forward. Oscar watches Anfet's back and mutters a comment. This guy is truly as terrifying as the rumors say. His presence is the absolute best among all the demon hunters I've seen so far. If only his actual skills were as top tier as his looks, that'd be great. A while passes, and Anfet is currently feeling extremely annoyed. You filthy demons. He repeatedly unleashes decisive slashes. Come at me more, you damn vermin. His footwork moves with incredible speed and precision. Anfet slaughters these goblins as easy as turning his hand over. His eyes show intense determination. I will send you all back to the filth you crawled out of. The corpses of the goblins lie scattered across the ground. Advancing forward, Anfet comments casually, "Zero challenge whatsoever." The quest info pops up before him. Things polluting the sewers. Eradicate the demons. Find relics. Find traces of the deceased adventurers. Rescue the child. Anfet mutters while walking. Can't believe they abandoned this mess until it got this bad before doing anything about it. His internal thoughts are rich and active. Besides, after hunting this many demons, how has not a single piece of equipment dropped? This trash game is way too stingy. No wonder the beginner quest pays so much money. Turns out it's because it doesn't drop any loot at all. Anfet even considers taking a risk, frustrated enough to want to search the corpses by hand. He stops and looks up at someone bound by glowing vines. But the current situation is a bit awkward, because after all, this kid is staring directly at me. Afterwards, Anfet decisively cuts all the vines and easily grabs Pow by the leg. Even though he's in an uncomfortable position, the little boy politely speaks up, "Thank you, sir." This action fulfills one of the objectives, rescue the child. Anfet observes his counterpart and secretly assesses him. This kid looks a bit older than the little sister from the opening cinematic. Speaking of my character's lore again, to think the demon that killed my little sister is living right inside my own body. It's a miracle I haven't gone insane. In the personal info panel, it only says I have a sensitive personality. Either way, I managed to save this child, unlike my poor little sister who had to die a tragic death. I'm not the type to spout cliche lines like "this kid reminds me of my sister." But my character would probably be a bit gentler toward children, right? But before touching the boy, Anfet asks himself, still, patting his head with this demon-possessed hand might be a bit much, wouldn't it? Protecting the weak is a knight's duty after all. Hearing this, Pow asks back without hesitation, "Are you a knight, sir?" He just turns his head and lazily admits, "Of course, I won't be rude to children," partly due to the character setup, and partly because of these hyper-realistic NPCs. They walk together while chatting. "Why were you trapped in a place like this?" Patrick explains simply, "My mom came down here to clean the sewers and never came back. So I blamed myself and came down here to look for her. I'm sorry." Hearing this, Anfet is completely moved. Oh man, that sounds so pitiful. Kids are supposed to be happy. But on the outside, he still coldly reminds him, this is no business for a kid. You should have trusted the adults and waited obedient. The young boy awkwardly admits his mistake. "I'm sorry." This reaction makes Anfet just want to hug Pow and comfort him. Oh man, this kid. What did you do wrong to have to apologize? Coming down here to find your mom and suffering in this dump. It makes me want to cry right along with you. On the outside, he reminds him again, "Don't apologize to me. I'm not someone worthy of receiving that apology. Let's try showing the relics I just found to the kid." The child recognizes his mother's item. The little boy cries uncontrollably, looking so heartbreaking. I don't have the heart to tell him to stop, but leaving him here feels wrong too. I have no choice but to tuck the exhausted kid under my arm and carry him outside. I heard VR games often use motion capture technology from real actors to create NPCs. They must have hired a really talented child actor to pull off such an amazing performance, right? Knowing full well it's fake, why is it so hard to treat it as fake? Once again, Anfet sighs in admiration. Seriously, thank goodness this is just a game. Right now, an info panel appears in front of him. Purifying demon-corrupted areas can be achieved through burning them with holy power or pure flames. If the purification is not completed, the demons will reappear once more. Please make sure that the demons will never appear on this land ever again. Anfet thought to himself, if I had cared to read this notification a bit more carefully back then, would I be feeling somewhat less regretful in the future? Patrick rushed inside with a loud shout, requesting reinforcements. Our merchant guild's signal flare was just fired right nearby. He explained in great detail. Red flares mean heavy casualties. Patrick even added an exclamation. It's an emergency situation. Meanwhile, on this side, countless people have already lost their lives, while those who survived were hiding in sheer terror. Utter horror was written all over their faces. Anfet's narration kicks off another story. Not long ago, quite a while after leaving the sewers, the child finally regained consciousness. The young boy then optimistically spoke up. My mom is beside the Lord and happy now, right? Hearing this, he thought to himself again. If there's a God in this world, it's the game developer. But unless those game devs are perverts, she'll definitely be happy. How alarming, though. Isrin welcomed the two of them with a puzzled expression. Adventurer, did you come here for something? She tilted her head, wondering. What's with that child? Anfet briefly explained Pow's background. He's the kid of a worker. Heard he took it upon himself to go down the sewers to find his parents. If you want details, go ask him yourself. He then held out a bag. Take this too. Isrin accepted it with a confused expression. What's this? Anfet observed her and wondered to himself. I only intended to show it to you, but you snatched it right away. It weighs almost as much as a kid, no joke. Isrin asked further out of curiosity. Hearing that, he explained unhurriedly. The retrieved relics of this kid's mom are also inside. This answer left her somewhat bewildered. Are these items the relics of all 13 people? Anfet knitted his brows, asking back in confusion. What else do they look like? Isrin immediately shifted her attitude. No, I will transfer them to the client and verify their identities. She began inspecting the contents inside. This pile of adventurer badges too. Isrin's expression softened visibly. She lifted the bag and spoke. On behalf of the guild, I express our deepest gratitude to you. Anfet thought to himself, if you're grateful, mean it sincerely. I had to fumble around that whole sewer with 0 objective markers. I was struggling so hard back then. Where the heck did the markers fly off to? Hyperrealistic, my ass. Though hearing her thank me in such a choked-up voice actually eases my annoyance a bit. This level of roleplay immersion is truly scary. Only now did Isrin speak up again. So, is your hunting trip for today ending right here? This question left Anfet extremely baffled. What a strange thing for her to say. Why on earth would a player stop grinding quests? Seeing him not respond, Isrin changed the subject. Are you planning to go back down to the sewers again? Though taking a little rest might be better. This question stunned Anfet even more. Rest? Rest for what? I broke my piggy bank to prepare for an all-night gaming marathon. Wait, what is an all-night gaming marathon? It's the act of locking oneself in a gaming pod for over 24 hours straight without bothering to eat or sleep. That's what. Those gaming support neurotransmitters were stupidly expensive. Or could there be some hidden chain quest left down in the sewers? Is that line subtly telling me to take a break and come back because this quest is far from over? I don't really get what you mean. Why would I ever need to go back to that sewer again? But then Anfet made a guess. Does it have something to do with the purification thing? I just came back up out of fear of taking suffocation damage. Are you trying to assign me a quest? You mean you're making me do the purification work too? However, Isrin looked bewildered, not understanding. Huh? What? Purification? She asked back in confusion. I only asked just in case. Did you already clear out all the demons down in the sewers? Hearing this, Anfet questioned her right back. Naturally, why else do you think I went through the trouble of coming all the way back here? Isrin hesitantly presented her thoughts. To return this child? He wondered in confusion. It's not like I cleared that place out that fast. Yet her reaction is so dramatic, it's really annoying. Is she looking down on me? The annoyance in his expression caused Isrin to deny it immediately. I absolutely did not mean to look down on you at all. My sincerest apologies, Lord Adventurer. As for the child you saved, we will take responsibility for taking care of him. Please wait a moment. I'll go invite the client over. Follow me. Anfet decided to interact with the interface. While waiting, I should take the chance to check my skill tree and the recent level up status. Several notification windows popped up. Things polluting the sewers. Speak with the client next. Isrin placed a pouch of shiny coins on the table. Here is your quest reward. Seeing it, Anfet was utterly blown away. These game devs are brutal. Seems like money can really only be made through doing quests. They poured all their passion into the game's realism. Remembering 15 years ago, doing quests only gave pennies, and you had to make money from mob loot drops. Philip was the one who spoke up to explain the subsequent procedures. We will cover the brokerage fee ourselves. We will also purchase the spoils obtained from the demons at a good price. Hearing this, he continued to think. Come to think of it, I think there was a monster butchering skill among the life skills. Looks like I can make money off that too, but whatever. Even if I knew beforehand, I still would have chosen a combat skill anyway. The reason being those few copper coins from those vermin aren't even worth caring about. Those words accurately expressed Anfet's purpose. That's right, for a true roleplay addict. Even choosing character skills has to fit the role being played. Besides, Legend of Heroes isn't a party game. It's a single-player game, meaning I can pick whatever I like without having to worry about whether it fits a party role or not. Hopefully, I'll unlock even cooler skills later on, like these ones right here. Anfet didn't forget to remind himself. But to do that, I need to quickly push through the story to level up. And then he opened his mouth to the staff. Is this all there is to the work here? Then Anfet turned to leave. Then there's no reason to stay any longer. I'm leaving. Right at this moment, a notification window appeared in front of him. Things polluting the sewers. Quest complete. Anfet was momentarily startled. Just then, a voice rang out from outside. Guildmaster. Guildmaster, are you here? There's an emergency. Vincent grumpily snapped back. Is your ass on fire or something that you're barging in here like a wild horse? His way of speaking made Anfet secretly remark. This old guy is just like those sharp-tongued but soft-hearted grandpas at the end of the alley. Top-notch character design. However, Patrick stepped inside with an extremely urgent expression. There's an emergency rescue request. He explained the situation. Our merchant guild signal flare was just fired nearby. Vincent exclaimed in shock. What? Patrick continued explaining what was happening. We've notified the guards of the Holy City, but they're moving way too slowly. At this moment, Anfet secretly evaluated. Classic early game trope, quickly triggering the next quest line. The moment he heard those words, Vincent rushed forward. How much tax money do those bastards eat up to do such a terrible job? Dispatch our people immediately. He even urged Anfet. You go too. In his mind, he replied, Yeah, I'm going, but let me finish the line I prepared first. But on the outside, he still tried to maintain his cool facade. Don't order me around. The moment he finished speaking, he was grumpily cut off by Vincent. This is a request. A request, you brat. I'll pay you handsomely, so go quickly and come back fast. Anfet walked toward the door while calling back over his shoulder. Contract established. Lead the way. Patrick quickly responded. Yes, sir. Isrin also chimed in. Safe travels. We will have the contract ready waiting for your return on this end. Quest info popped up right after. People in distress. Optional. Rendezvous with the mercenaries. Move to the combat area. Eliminate the attackers. Bonus reward. Number of survivors. Seeing this, Anfet thought with satisfaction. Sweet. The quest log popped up. Patrick then suggested. Now let's go join up with the mercenary group. However, he cut him off. No need. Lead me straight to where people are needed. Anfet's gaze was focused on the bottom line of the quest window. Looks like a bad omen. No matter how you look at it, this is a race against the clock quest. There's no time to go meet up with a group. Vincent reminded from behind once more. Just let him go. If he can clear out the sewers all by himself, he won't die that easily. This information surprised Patrick. What? As for Anfet himself, he was thoroughly satisfied. Spot on, old man. He quickly led the way. Then let's set off immediately. Horses are available right nearby. Hearing this, he was secretly super excited. Riding a horse? Piece of cake. I actually have quite a reputation in those horse-riding simulator games. No joke. Anfet whispered to himself. Please hold on until I get there. My precious experience points. The sky at this moment bore a deadly red hue. Horses' hooves clattered loudly against the ground. Both man and horse charging swiftly through the forest. Since when did Anfet join the fray? Victory belongs to my blade. He skillfully wielded the sword in his hand. The goblins perishing the moment they crossed paths with Anfet. His face bore a serious look as he declared, Glory belongs to heaven. The distressed victims shouted out one after another, each saying different things. Reinforcements are here. Wait, there's only one person. Is that the vanguard? Please save me. A few of them were trying hard to resist. No, stay away. The final reinforcement has arrived. I can't die here. Suddenly, the goblin standing in front was struck down. Anfet dismounted his horse decisively, then shot forward like an arrow. The destination Anfet targeted was the spot with the highest concentration of goblins. As he drew near, he slowed down while speaking up. Did you just beg for your life to be saved? Then consider your wish granted. A promise was delivered right after. I will bleed every last one of them dry before your blood runs out. Hearing that, the other person was bewildered. All by yourself? Anfet unhurriedly replied. Not worth my answer. His eyes at this moment flashed with several rays of red light, overflowing with immense momentum. Anfet declared loudly, I will tear you trash to shreds. He unleashed multiple slashes, breaking the goblins' formation apart. All by himself, Anfet successfully broke through their encirclement. The innocent citizens could only watch with shocked eyes. His appearance right now looked extraordinary. Someone suddenly cried out, That person is... They looked at Anfet with a hint of fear. A monster? From another side, a voice also echoed. What is with this murderous intent? The Inquisitor stated steadily. Grand Archmage, tomorrow as soon as the sun rises, we must immediately set out for the Tatara trading post. Responding to her was a question. Why so? The Inquisitor gave a brief explanation. I sensed an extremely powerful demonic aura coming from that direction. The system displayed. People in distress. Optional. Move to the combat area. Eliminate the attackers. Bonus reward. Number of survivors 3052. Anfet thought to himself. I know it's a hyper-realistic game, but is it really necessary to go as far as having monster blood splatter onto my face like this? A young adventurer spoke up. I don't know who you are, but thank you so much. It's all thanks to your help. Suddenly, Anfet heard blood-curdling screams. This is demon aura corruption. The system displayed demonic aura corruption. People attacked by demons have a certain chance of having their bodies corrupted by demonic aura. A man was surrounded by streams of dark demonic aura. The system continued to display. As the level of corruption increases, the body will suffer various debuffs and even risk transforming into a demon. The young adventurer from earlier asked worriedly, Is there no cure? Another young man replied, We have sedatives. But Anfet thought to himself, Oh right, the original game had a system like this too, didn't it? In the original version, every time you took damage from demons, the corruption gauge would increase by a certain percentage. The level of demonic aura corruption would stack in increments of 20%, 30%, 40%, all the way to 100%. Anfet thought to himself, but since the Demon Knight class is completely immune to this, I completely forgot about it. The reason being that Demon Knights are the type who are already possessed by demons in the first place anyway. Anfet felt secretly happy. Either way, I happen to have a few pretty useful items in my pouch for this. Oh well, the reward increases with the number of survivors, so I might as well just use them up. He quickly reached his hand into his inventory pouch. A screen displaying various items popped up. Anfet handed a bottle of potion to the young adventurer guy. Take this. The guy asked back in surprise. Can I really take this? The system displayed. Demonic Aura Antidote. An elixir capable of purifying the demonic aura corrupting the human body. It helps suppress the frenzy caused by demons and brings temporary peace. The guy hurriedly replied, Thank you so much, sir. Anfet spoke up. Use it. Then he tossed antidotes, bandages, and sedatives toward the guy. The guy was a bit flustered. Oh my, thank you so very much. The young adventurer quickly shouted out, Hey everyone, that sir over there just gave us medicine and bandages. Quickly gather the corrupted and injured over here. Hurry. Anfet felt secretly satisfied. No wonder the game handed me so many beginner items. Turns out it was meant to be used at times like this. The system displayed, people in distress, optional. Move to the combat area, eliminate the attackers. Bonus reward, number of survivors 27 to 52. Anfet thought to himself, is there anything else left to do? Looks like the number of survivors is locked at this count. Suddenly, he heard the sound of galloping horses approaching. Everyone around showed expressions of joy. Reinforcements are here. The system displayed. People in distress. Quest complete. Anfet thought to himself, oh, the completion notification panel finally showed up. The system continued to display. People in distress too. Collect 25 corpses. Retrieve relics. Not knowing what was up this time, Anfet truly didn't get what the system was trying to say. He asked himself, do I really have to go clean up this battlefield again? The system continued to display the same information from earlier. Anfet also stared at it silently in helplessness. He felt secretly angry. His pride took a huge hit. A moment later, Anfet stood leaning against a tree trunk with his arms crossed. He thought to himself, still, it seems like the work done by the NPCs counts toward my quest progress too. In that case, I'll just stand still and watch. Two annoyed reinforcement guys muttered under their breaths. So what if he handled all the monsters by himself? Arrogant as hell. Look at his smug face, standing there with his arms crossed. Externally, Anfet maintained a cold demeanor, but inside he felt secretly pleased. Go ahead and mutter your curses all you want. After all, you guys are just NPCs. Standing on the sidelines, carefree watching others work sure feels awesome. One of the reinforcement guys felt secretly annoyed by his gaze. Why do I feel? Suddenly, one of the reinforcements spoke up. Why did the demons? I never thought I'd experience something so horrific in the West. If it were barbarians attacking, at least I'd understand. Anfet thought to himself, seeing how they weave in these detailed dialogue lines, it's probably to set the stage for the next storyline, isn't it? The two reinforcement guys continued discussing. A few corpses went missing. What? Dead people. Where could they go on their own? I don't know. But even counting the incomplete corpses, the number is still way too low. One advised, for now, let's just head back to the city. Our lives are what's most important. The other spoke up in annoyance. Collecting so much tax from the people, yet they don't even bother properly clearing out the demons. This time I'm definitely going up to see the Lord to demand compensation no matter what. Anfet thought to himself, missing corpses? It definitely has something to do with demon worshippers or dark mages. A setup like this will bound to lead to a quest chain to track down a mastermind behind the scenes. Just watch. Suddenly, a reinforcement guy called out to him, cleaning up is all done. Let me head back. The system displayed. People in distress too. Collect corpses 25/25. Retrieve relics 30/30. Anfet quickly stepped toward the carriage. Let's go. Scene change. Vincent spoke up slowly. Well done. Anfet replied. Just pay the reward fairly. That'll do. Vincent replied in annoyance. Do you think I'm so poor that I need to stiff an adventurer on his money? Wait a minute. He suddenly slammed his cane down onto the floor. And also, Vincent glanced at Anfet. I want to give you another request. He immediately replied. Speak. Philip spoke up. Guild Master, our merchant guild currently doesn't have any urgent work that requires hiring additional mercenaries. Vincent answered crankily. What else could it be? Eliminating demons. What else? The location is in the northwestern forest. Isrin hurriedly spoke up. Guild Master, hasn't that place already been assigned to other adventurers on our guild side? Vincent scolded her angrily. I have to do this because there's been zero news about them finishing things up for ages. Do you have any idea how many people rely on that northwestern forest to make a living? I don't have time to sit around and wait any longer. Now that I've seen his skills with my own eyes, I've decided to dispatch him right away. Anfet thought to himself, this old man might be grumpy and rude, but he's actually a good person who cares about others. I quite like old man character concepts like this. He spoke up. So that means I just need to go eliminate the demon in the northwestern forest, right? Isrin replied. That's right, if you are so resolute, I will process the quest transfer paperwork immediately. However, regarding the adventurers who had set off earlier, Vincent snapped. They didn't do their job right and got kicked out. What does that have to do with me? What do you expect me to do? Philip looked helplessly at the two of them arguing, while Anfet maintained an emotionless face. Isrin replied to Vincent's words. Well, you still have to pay the contract cancellation fee out of your own pocket, don't you? Philip spoke up. So I take it you agree to accept this request then. A moment later, Philip said to Anfet, it's getting late. I will lead you to the inn to rest, and we can discuss the job details on the way. Scene changed to the next morning. It was a sunny day. The system displayed the lurking danger in the northwestern forest. Travel to the northwestern forest. Anfet was sitting on the carriage being brought to the location. He cursed the game developer in his mind. What kind of crazy game is this? To actually make the leg fatigue feature feel this real. Riding a carriage for 10 hours straight. Does this VR game really not have a skip journey feature? What wealth and glory am I expecting that I'm torturing myself with this painful roleplay? The young boy sitting beside him looked at him with eyes full of admiration. This made Anfet feel proud. Still, looking at the apprentice kid staring at me with such admiration offers some comfort. After all, the NPC design in this game is straight up top tier. Hold it in, hold it in. Once I clear this quest, there's a double rewards event. Scene changed back to early that morning. After resting for a night at the inn, an official contract was drafted under the guidance of the assistant guy from the Mob Ben Merchant Guild. Philip spoke up. I won't urge you to set off today, but I hope you can resolve it as quickly as possible. Anfet replied coldly. State the pay. Philip quickly answered. The bounty on that monster's head is 700,000 gallons. Anfet felt secretly thrilled. Whoa, the quest reward actually goes up to 700,000 gallons. But on the outside, he remained emotionless. And then Philip replied, since this is a personal hire contract, I will personally add another 200,000 gallons out of my own pocket if you bring back its head. Anfet felt extremely amazed by this information. However, he felt a bit helpless at Philip's expression. No, and then was just asking if we were going to sign the contract like that right away. Zero negotiation skill. Wait, my skill leveled up out of nowhere. I haven't even allocated points into the negotiation skill yet. This quest existed in the original game too, but I remember it being super minor. Or is this just pre-programmed dialogue? Or can players negotiate rewards on their own, even without the skill? Philip seemed quite nervous, seeing Anfet not respond. He immediately said out loud, all right, I'll add another 300,000 gallons. That's my absolute ceiling. Anfet felt himself instantly blurt out a long exclamation in his head. Holy crap, Mom, your son seems to have a talent for getting rich. Maybe I should keep this cool persona in real life too? However, contrary to the excitement inside, Anfet only replied coldly. Understood. Prepare the money. I will set off immediately. Philip called out hastily. Wait, you plan to leave right now? You could totally rest for a day, and then Anfet replied. I have no leisure to waste time when demons are present. Scene change to the present. He was already sitting inside the carriage. Anfet calculated in his head, once I grind to max level and have nothing to do, I'll go experience the real estate feature in the game. I bet that feature is made super fancy. The young boy suddenly asked curiously, Sir, you are an adventurer, right? Anfet thought to himself, actually, this character joined the Adventurers Guild just to make money. But he probably doesn't consider himself an adventurer, right? More like a lone avenger wandering around. No, I am not. The young boy awkwardly lowered his eyes and replied, Oh, I see. Anfet felt guilty. Wait, was my answer too harsh? He quickly continued, but I do similar work. Is there something you want to ask, kid? The young boy immediately asked excitedly. Yes. So, have you ever seen the ocean, sir? Anfet felt secretly delighted. Ah, isn't that adorable? The game's child NPC design is truly top tier. Their expressions and actions are just like real kids in real life. However, he still replied emotionlessly, I have. I wonder what the ocean looks like, sir. Anfet answered, It is deep blue like your eyes, and swaying with soft waves just like your hair. The young boy was surprised. My eyes look like the ocean? Anfet replied, That's right. A moment later, Anfet remarked in his head, Though the journey was a bit sore, the trip to the northwestern forest went fairly smoothly, and I myself couldn't have ever expected that in that place. At the forest, he quickly raised his weapon to block an attack. The girl attacking him, the Inquisitor, roared with rage. Born as a human, yet you dare betray the Lord? In the name of God, I shall punish you. Anfet felt secretly amazed. To think I'd run into that exact person. Anfet began heading deeper into the northwestern forest. Suddenly, a system screen appeared in front of him. The system displayed enemy perception. Enemy perception is the most basic element in combat. It allows you to detect murderous intent. Anfet felt secretly pleased. I was wondering when I'd ever find the demon in this vast forest. But with a support skill, things are completely different. The system suddenly flashed red. Hostile target detected within 10 meters. Anfet froze in surprise at the prompt, thinking to himself, What the heck? Already? The Inquisitor roared. To be born human and dare betray God. In the Lord's name, she suddenly charged right at him. Her eyes flared as she raised her weapon, ready to strike. Anfet's eyes widened in sheer shock at the sudden turn of events. He hastily grabbed the sword on his back, drew it in a flash, and blocked her attack. She screamed, I shall smite you. Anfet thought to himself, Man, that hit was heavy. My sword's durability is definitely about to hit rock bottom. He delivered a heavy forward slash, throwing the Inquisitor off balance and pushing her back. She quickly caught her footing, skidding to a halt. She glared at him coldly, her lips pressed into a tight line of sheer determination. Only now did Anfet get a good look at her. Someone from the church? The Inquisitor replied, Indeed. I came here to execute you. Anfet had no idea what was going on anymore. A stream of thoughts raced through his mind. A priest? Executing me? Why? Meanwhile, Anfet kept a deadpan expression and spoke up. The church I know is supposed to be a gathering of benevolent people spreading mercy in God's name. Have you guys degraded into thugs who use violence on just anyone now? The Inquisitor bellowed in rage. How dare a foul demon speak to me of violence? An ornament on her vestments suddenly radiated a surge of powerful mana as she repeated furiously, How dare a foul demon? As for Anfet, he was genuinely baffled. Me? A demon? Judging by the way she talked, she was definitely from the cleric class. Since no quest window popped up, this wasn't an event or part of the main story. So why on earth was she mistaking me for a demon? I don't even have any cursed gear in my inventory. So why is she mistaking me for a demon? Suddenly, a spark flashed through Anfet's head. Oh, right. Wait a second. Anfet quickly tightened his grip on his sword. Isn't this actually a perfect opportunity? Wearing a gauntlet out of sheer hatred for a demon-possessed arm. She hated demons, but harbored doubts over whether someone possessed could still be human. He quickly arrived at a conclusion. This is a golden chance to farm some character roleplay points. Putting on a furious front, Anfet shouted, Don't call me a demon, you fanatic! Victory belongs to my blade, and glory belongs to the heavens. The Inquisitor spat back angrily. A corrupt traitor corrupted by evil dares to play knight? Accept your death and face judgment. She charged at him again to strike. Anfet silently agreed. She's actually right about me playing knight. It's not like I was ever officially knighted anyway. He glared coldly at his opponent over the edge of his blade, then vanished into thin air. He declared inwardly, I never promised to fight fair and square, you know. The Inquisitor sneered in annoyance. Coward, how dare you hide in the shadows? System alert. Band breaker coats weapon and magic and unleashes a devastating downward demon attribute, slash across a wide area ahead. Anfet suddenly reappeared and yelled, Barrier break. The Inquisitor hurriedly thrust her white shield forward to block it. Anfet attacked by sending a wave of magic blasting directly toward her. She raised her shield just in time. Anfet taunted, Go ahead, cower behind that shield. You look like a turtle hiding in its shell. The Inquisitor cold-bloodedly retorted, I will offer your head to console the souls that suffered. Her weapon suddenly glowed with light. Ampha was a bit puzzled. Huh, what's that effect? A stat buff or an incoming attack? Raising her glowing weapon to the sky, the Inquisitor declared, The Lord is always with me. On the outside, Anfet remained expressionless, but internally he was dying to shield his eyes. Oh, what is this blinding flash? Anfet finally realized what that attack was, a skill that boosted both attack power and defense. Talk about an overpowered ability. It was literally a full-body stat buff. Man, I wish I had that. I'm so jealous. Honestly, isn't that totally broken? In the original game, it only applied to weapons. Though, due to class disadvantage, the 1.3x damage multiplier probably still applies, right? The Inquisitor charged at him again, holding her glowing weapon out in front of her shield. Anfet quickly moved to parry. She wasn't attacking directly. She was just radiating a holy light, probably channeling a purification aura. Cleric classes are way too sluggish to land a direct hit anyway. I don't know the level gap between us, but I'm definitely faster. He instantly unleashed a strike at her, but the Inquisitor blocked every single hit with her shield. Anfet grumbled internally. Man, everything's useless because that shield of hers has a stupidly perfect 100% block rate. He scowled in annoyance at this troublesome enemy. Anfet surged forward, deciding to pivot his strategy. Breaking through that shield is impossible then. The Inquisitor shouted, If you have nothing to hide before the Lord, step up and face me, traitor. Anfet narrowed his eyes at her and smirked at her words, thinking, I'll happily grant your wish. Anfet charged straight ahead and swung his sword directly at her. The Inquisitor raised her shield to block. She winced slightly, holding her ground against his surprisingly heavy blow. Seizing the moment, Anfet stepped right on her shield to leap up and attack her. System notification. Cleric classes carry extremely heavy, high durability armor, making their movements slow and heavy. The Inquisitor gasped in shock as Anfet appeared directly above her head. You! Anfet lunged down. It's over, fanatic. He delivered a brutal overhead strike, forcing her to block with every ounce of her strength. She gritted her teeth in sheer rage and frustration at being overwhelmed by someone like Anfet thought. On the other hand, the Magic Knight class is... Anfet quickly disengaged from the clash and positioned himself to strike her from behind, feeling a sense of pride. Top tier when it comes to attack speed. He yelled out, Pay the price for running your mouth. Suddenly, another voice cut in, Oh flames, burn my enemy to cinders. A stream of fire burst forth right between them. Anfet was stunned. A mage skill? Right here, Oliver called out. Goodness, I didn't expect an Inquisitor to struggle this much. I'm a bit late, but I'll back you up now. The Inquisitor exclaimed excitedly. You've arrived, Archmage. Anfet was completely bewildered. Inquisitor? Archmage? That hit him. Cleric 3rd tier advancement. Inquisitor. Mage 3rd tier advancement. Archmage. Are they seriously talking about 2 3rd-tier advanced classes right now? So my enemies are a combo of 2 3rd-tier classes, a healer tank and a long-range DPS? Meanwhile, I'm just a low-level newbie who literally just finished the tutorial quest? Anfet felt this was insanely unfair, panicking on the inside. Are they for real? Are they trying to trick a newbie like me this hard? This isn't just throwing an egg at a rock. It's slamming my head straight into Mount Sirac. Is there even a way to clear this? Telling me to just accept death without even a pain toggle button? Are you kidding me? Fear crept into his mind. The pain wasn't even the issue. What about the death penalty? Suddenly, a thought flashed through Anfet's brain. Huh? Wait, willpower? He paused for a moment. Are they telling me to just die? Right? Death is part of the game mechanics too. If dying is built into the tutorial, maybe convenience features that weren't available before will unlock after I die. Anfet suddenly realized it. Making a realistic game like this means they probably want me to experience everything no matter how painful it is. Right? Real funny, devs. Alright, I'll die in peace then. He closed his eyes slightly, concluding his assessment of the situation. I'm gonna die anyway, so who cares? Might as well go out on my own terms. Say whatever I want and die looking cool. Anfet spoke up. Archmage, that sage title of yours must be ancient history if all you do now is hang out with a reckless brat and intimidate passersby. The Inquisitor barked back angrily. You're the fake here, playing innocent when you've contracted with a demon. The Archmage is simply fulfilling her duty. Suddenly, the system popped up. Hostile target detected within 10 meters. Anfet glanced behind him alertly. Reinforcements? No, this presence is... He noticed a massive snake slithering toward them. Oliver muttered in surprise. A Medusa? Anfet wanted to scream internally. Hey, that was supposed to be my line. The Inquisitor shouted. You try to shift the blame by acting innocent while summoning your accomplices? You traitorous apostate. Anfet replied nonchalantly. Accomplices? Looks like that holy light has blinded. Facing the gigantic serpent calmly, he added, I'll chop that demon into 100 pieces, then rip your stupid mouth open. System alert. Medusa, a demon made of hundreds of snakes swarming around a single red snake. It disperses when it senses danger. The serpent opened its jaws wide and lunged toward Anfet at blinding speed. He breathed a sigh of relief internally. A demon popping up right now. So this is a story event? He thought. Yeah, the devs aren't crazy enough to kill off players right off the bat. I knew I could trust you guys. Smirking slightly, he muttered, Great timing, you bugs. Anfet shouted with excitement. I'm bringing death to you all. The Inquisitor snapped furiously. Feigning ignorance again? Trying to team up with it. Oliver quickly stopped her. Wait a moment. Oliver's face turned grim as she spoke slowly. That person, Anfet, had just dodged a bite from the monster. As the system window stated, Medusa's core was the red snake. In the original game, players had to keep attacking until the swarm dispersed to find the red snake. But that's way too tedious, right? With how impatient Koreans are, who's got time to wait for that? He grinned, swung his sword, and lunged straight at the monster. If they made this so realistic, the core's location is dead obvious. Anfet dashed forward and sliced straight through the middle of the monster's body. Monster blood squirted everywhere as smaller snakes were flung out. Anfet kept his eyes glued to the enemy, right where the serpent's heart should be. A single red snake revealed itself among the squirming mass of differently colored snakes. Anfet immediately knew his prediction was spot on. He tossed his sword aside. Try to use a sword right now would just result in a miss. Anfet thrust his bare hand straight into the cluster of black snakes. He swiftly snatched out the glowing red snake. Anfet instantly crushed the snake, causing it to go limp. He felt satisfied. Nice move. Red snake eliminated. Now he turned around slowly so his attackers could witness it. Time to dive back into full, edgy Demon Hunter roleplay mode. Anfet dropped the red snake onto the ground beneath his feet. He gathered his force and stomped hard on the serpent. Anfet looked down and saw that the snake was completely lifeless. He lifted his foot off the serpent, leaving bloody red footprints on the ground. The Inquisitor glared at him with utter disgust and contempt. Anfet slowly raised his sword. You damn fanatics actually have some manners, huh? I'll give you credit for not rushing in recklessly with an annoying interruption. Now, should I tear open that mouth of yours as a reward? Oliver quickly intervened. Hold on. I think there's been a misunderstanding. I apologize for attacking you. Please, will you hear us out? The Inquisitor looked astonished. What are you saying, Archmage? Do you know why he's a traitor? Why are the demons fighting each other? Oliverancer. No, he isn't someone who made a pact with a demon. The Inquisitor voiced her disbelief. But he clearly used demonic power. How can you say he's not? How is that possible? I was never taught anything like this. Please explain, Oliver replied. It's natural you wouldn't know, as such an existence has only been discussed in theory at the Academy. Anfet felt a wave of satisfaction. Hey, she's talking about me. Third-person exposition like this is awesome. I better let her cook. Oliver explained. Normally, a host invaded by a parasitic demon loses consciousness and turns into a zombie. In contrast, that young man seems to have subjugated the demon and taken control of its power himself. The Inquisitor stammered in protest. That's impossible. Achieving such a feat through sheer human willpower without God's strength is unheard of. Oliver countered, Nothing in this world is impossible. Only things presumed to be impossible. If that isn't the case, Then what else should we call the young man standing before us? Anfet spoke up coldly. How long are you two going to babble right in front of me? He feigned outrage. A zombie? How dare you treat me like trash? In reality, he was thrilled. Since the game gave me the main stage to act out a cool scene, I better go all out. Here's my chance to flex. Oliver bowed her head in admission. It is clearly our fault. If there's anything you want, I will do my best to grant it. Anfet thought to himself. At best, you'll just hand me a few spare coins and beginner armor. He gritted his teeth and spat back. Damn it. Grant it if you can. How about you two get lost? Will you do that? Oliver hesitated. Well, that's... Anfet cut her off. If you can't, spare me your cheap apologies. If it were up to me, I'd rip your jaws off and hang them at the village gate right now. But if I did that, how would I be any different from those demons? He swiftly sheathed his sword. Get lost. In truth, behind his expressionless face, Anfet was ecstatic. This is awesome. Feels just like bantering with my college buddies. Man, who knew I could talk this slick? You know why? An edgy, powerful character only looks cool when the opponent reacts properly. Thanks, guys. Suddenly, he stopped dead in his tracks. Anfet remembered. All right, I almost forgot to collect the corpse. He quickly picked up the bloody red snake. The Inquisitor suddenly called out, wait. Anfet snorted internally. What now? Gonna complain about me taking the corpse? He turned back and met the Inquisitor's emerald green eyes. Anfet sighed internally in disappointment. Come on, NPC. A beginner player needs this to complete their quest. The Inquisitor spoke clearly, word by word. Listen closely to what I have to say. Anfet immediately grew alert. A new quest? Standing firmly in front of Anfet, the Inquisitor said, I apologize as well. Seeing his bewildered face, she faltered slightly. Any explanation right now would sound like an excuse. I'm sorry for attacking you first. Anfet was genuinely puzzled. Aren't elite lady NPCs supposed to be stubborn about their pride? He had imagined she'd arrogantly press him with. Aren't you ashamed of making money off demon corpses? You monster with no sense of justice. Unbelievable. Anfet's silence only made things more awkward. I know repeating myself won't change anything, but I am truly sorry. At this point, he actually believed her apology was so sincere it felt kind of cringy, even though he knew she was just an AI character. Oh well, it was an easily misunderstood situation. The Inquisitor added, and I'm not just giving lip service. If you want a reward, I will compensate you as much as I possibly can. Her resolute attitude caught Anfet off guard. Her logic is formidable. Is this a companion recruitment event? He looked around the surroundings with mild irritation. Companions? In a middle-of-nowhere place like this, I don't need them, nor does it fit my character's edgy roleplay. With that thought, Anfet turned around and walked away. Better keep up the act. I don't need your hypocrisy. Those words struck the Inquisitor with deep guilt. It's not hypocrisy. Listen to me. Just then a voice chimed in. Inquisitor calmed down. She paused and looked toward the Archmage, who calmly advised, more importantly, we need to get moving too. We wasted time failing to capture the demon, but we still need to report the completed purification immediately. Hearing this, the Inquisitor nodded softly. You're right. She reminded herself, it's late. Let's move fast. Oliver and the Inquisitor began following right behind Anfet. Footsteps echoed through the forest, but something was off. The two behind him kept pace with him without any sign of stop. Sensing something was wrong, a thought crossed his mind. What the? The atmosphere grew suffocatingly quiet. Are they following me? Anfet looked up at the system UI screen. I opened my map and was walking straight back to the village. But can they see this map screen too? Behind him, Oliver struck up a conversation. You worked hard all week. You must be disappointed you didn't slay it yourself. The Inquisitor shook her head cheerfully, without a hint of sadness. Not at all. Purifying it was my duty as a servant of God anyway. They were completely ignoring Anfet. What? What now? If you're done, go your own way. Do you still need something from me? How annoying. He couldn't hide his distaste. Is there another plot line? Should I probe a bit? Action following thought. Anfet raised his voice abrasively. I told you two to get lost. Scowling, he added, do my words mean nothing to you? Facing his outburst, Oliver remained unusually calm. Apologies if we offended you. We didn't mean to. We're simply following our navigation magic, and it seems our destinations overlap. Anfet felt an instant wave of embarrassment. Ah, so that was it. They weren't following him. They were following their own tracking system. So they have their own map windows too? He quickly picked up his pace. So embarrassing. I gotta walk away. At that moment, the Inquisitor called out hastily, "Wait, where are you going? The night forest is dangerous." Anfet dismissed her in a cold tone. "Dangerous for people like you, maybe. Don't project your standards onto me." Internally, he prayed. "Just leave me alone and respect my roleplay." The Inquisitor murmured anxiously. "Walking alone in the forest at night isn't good." Watching Anfet's retreating back, the Inquisitor asked Oliver, "Is it really okay to let him go like that? Archmage, he's already strong. If he gets possessed by a demon, it'd be a total nightmare." Oliver rubbed her chin in thought for a long moment. "I've never encountered a situation like this either. Personally, I hope he doesn't get possessed, but..." The Inquisitor gripped her shield and weapon again, saying, "Wishes and reality are often far apart." "I know," Oliver quietly revealed. "I placed a tracking spell on him for now. Since our destinations seem to align anyway, let me keep observing." She could only go along with that advice. May God watch over him. In the quiet night under the full moon, a flock of crows suddenly flapped their wings and flew off. Only much later did the town lights finally appear in front of them. Anfet walked straight up to the entrance of an office. The moment he stepped inside, Isrin greeted him. "Ah, sorry it's late, so you'll have to wait a bit for new quests." Before she could finish her second sentence, her face turned pale at Anfet's appearance. His expression was dark, emitting a thick aura of bloodlust and the reeking stench of blood. "Ah, Majik Knight." Anfet quickly handed a cloth bag to Isrin and demanded, "Confirm this." Flustered, she stumbled over her words. "Why are you back so soon?" "Wait." "Yes, right away." Isrin glanced at him, then looked inside the cloth bag. "What's this? Why are there snake remains in here?" She gasped again in shock. "Good heavens, don't tell me. You went to the Northwest Forest and took down the demon in just 2 days." Anfet wanted a whine on the inside, but his facial muscles wouldn't let him. "Isrin, do you have any idea how much I suffered?" He recalled last night's events. "I confidently turned my back on those NPC companions and started walking. But soon enough, I faced a cruel reality. It took a whole 8-hour carriage ride to get there. At the time, Anfet found it ridiculous. No way, this is still a game. Are they really making me walk all that way? Games are supposed to be entertainment. Come on, no way." And obviously, Anfet had been walking since the bright break of dawn, right? All through midday, crossing the forest, right? And even as time drifted into sunset, right? Even late into the night, he kept reassuring himself, right? At times, Anfet had to look up at the sky and curse, "No way, my ass. This crazy walking simulator." I walked relentlessly for an entire day. I was planning to camp along the way, but this forest ecosystem is insanely diverse. They made this game so infuriatingly realistic. It's a freaking masterpiece trash game that's ridiculously well made. When the system notification finally announced his arrival at the Tatar trading post, he thought to himself. Seeing that window pop up, I almost cried on the spot. Of course, Isra knew none of this. "Ah, let me verify this first. The demon in the Northwest Forest was Medusa. Got it. We'll monitor the forest a bit longer, just in case. But judging by this, it's almost certainly confirmed. As soon as morning comes, we'll verify the details, mark the quest complete, and issue your reward." The system board displayed the task completion information. Anfet's spirit wavered, but he still tried to act cool. "So dizzy. Am I getting old or something? Back in the day, I never felt this out of it just from pulling an all-nighter gaming." Just then, Isrin suddenly remembered. "Since you look tired, I'll recommend an inn for you." The boy inside him went wild with joy for a moment. "Thanks, Isrin. Damn this game. If I hadn't bought a full infusion yesterday, I probably would have smashed my rig and quit gaming." Right after that, a little boy poked his head out and ran over. "Yes. You came back so soon, mister. Didn't he just leave the day before yesterday?" She took the cloth bag and instructed. "He's probably exhausted from rushing to finish the quest. Please lead him to the win-in." The boy quickly led the way for Anfet. "Leave it to me. Follow me, mister." He really liked the kid's cheerful attitude. He always looked so bright every time they met. At least there was someone like that in this game. As soon as they stepped out the door, the boy asked about the adventure. What demon did you hunt this time? Was it super strong? Anfet coldly uttered a single sentence. Demons are not a topic for small talk. The boy realized he had misspoke. I'm sorry. From this expression, he understood a bit. He got pressured. I kept up the role play even though I knew this would happen. But sorry for being a terrible adult. I should give him a generous tip as soon as we arrive. I made a boatload of cash today. After reaching the win-in, Anfet was finally able to lie down on the bed. Should I take a break? Is this even a game? It feels more like a brutal work experience, just because the fatigue stat on the menu hit max. That doesn't mean the real player should actually be exhausted to death. Current fatigue rate, 100%. The system board opened a countdown timer. Sleep for 6 hours. Anfet mumbled drowsily. I'll take a nap first, then decide whether to smash my rig or not. Having said that, he directly tapped the start button on the screen. Night gradually fell deeper, and the stars in the sky shone brilliantly over peaceful rooms where nothing was happening. The tightly shut-in room showed no sign of movement. Right at this moment, a figure appeared wandering along the hallway. A short while later, the door to Anfet's room was cracked open slightly. This person tightened their grip on the handle of the mace in their hand. This person aimed directly at his head and swung down. Anfet had just had a brief thought flash through his mind. I need to wake up. Right on cue. The system also warned. Hostile target within a 10 m radius. He quickly reached out and grabbed his sword. As the mace crashed down, Anfet managed to block it just in time. Philip gritted his teeth and hissed out a few words. Damn it. He braced himself and thought to himself, seriously, I'm the one who should be saying that. That crazy bastard, what kind of search skill is this? It said within 10 meters, but it didn't warn me until he shoved his nose right up against mine. Philip was quickly pushed far back by Anfet. Why the hell is he so strong? Immediately after, he shifted back into a proper sword stance. Anfet coldly slashed his sharp blade toward the guy's chest. Philip was now filled with regret. Please spare me. I just wanted the coin pouch. Anfet's face darkened, his voice dropping significantly. Drop the weapon and put your hands behind your head. He felt like he was drifting off his original script. This is nuts, seriously. I'm playing an edgy character, but here I am blurting out lines like a cop. Hearing these words, the mace in Philip's hand dropped completely to the floor. He raised his trembling hands and tried to explain himself. I dropped it. Please spare my life. Anfet mocked him under his breath. I guess these days, every time you smash someone's head, a coin pouch just falls out. He flinched when Philip pulled out a concealed dagger. Usually that's how it goes. Anfet used his dodge skill to easily evade the guy's clumsy movements. He deftly struck the back of Philip's neck, knocking him completely unconscious. Looking at the bump on his head, Anfet could only state bluntly, Did you really think you could kill me with that toy knife? Ridiculous. He looked down on him, thinking to himself, even though I'm just an ordinary player, getting mugged while I'm this tired is just so ridiculous I can hardly believe it. I thought a whole gang of bandits came, but turned out it was just a thief who opened the door and walked right in. What kind of event is this? Anfet dragged the suspect straight out to the front lobby. Isrin gasped when she saw that scene. Good Lord, even without malicious intent, his killer aura was simply too overwhelming. Sorry for snapping, but could you just let me get some sleep? Before Anfet could say anything, her face turned pale and she screamed out loud. She couldn't help but stammer, destroying the evidence. Anfet tapped his sword against Philip's head a few times. Are your eyes just for show? When did he die? Just at that moment, the system issued a new notification. Hostile target within a 10 m radius. Just as he glanced over, the Inquisitor barged in aggressively. Did you seriously commit a murder in that short span of time? Without a word, she pinned the crime straight onto Anfet. I knew it. A zombie that still retains its consciousness can only be. As she spoke, the Inquisitor swung her weapon and thrust it straight toward him. Anfet quickly took a step back, dodging her attack. His expression showed a hint of annoyance. This annoying NPC is back again. Why does she always show up in situations that are so easy to misunderstand? Isn't this plot point a bit too forced? But right now, The Inquisitor was still glaring daggers at Anfet. Her intent to kill flared up, making the atmosphere tenser than ever. Even though it was a bit troublesome, he didn't really care. More importantly, when this nun showed up, it was pretty fun because it triggered his deep roleplay mode. Anfet issued a final threat. I definitely told you I'd kill you if you kept following me. According to the lore I made for the Demon Knight, he has trigger buttons that make him lose control. You spawn of a demon. In the name of God, lose consciousness. And this nun keeps pushing those buttons enthusiastically every time we meet. In the name of God, you spawn of a demon. You trashy zombie. The Inquisitor rasped her voice as if trying to overpower Anfet. Silence. You filthy demon who stole a human body. He let out a soft laugh and a sigh. Right on cue as expected. Anfet then spread his legs wide, dropping into an offensive stance. Opposite him, a cold gleam flashed in her eyes as she swept her gaze across him. Anfet let out a quiet breath. You are hastening your own death. The mana in his hand spread all over the sword's body. If you don't want to get dragged into something pointless, step back. His indifferent eyes narrowed slightly, falling on her figure. Anfet intended to perform a swift strike to execute her clean with his blade. Unexpectedly, someone stepped in to stop it. Chains of ice wrapped around, locking his movements. A restraint. Anfet recognized at a glance that it was a crowd control skill unique to the mage class. If that's the case, Oliver ran in from the outside in a panic. Wait, please stop. When Anfet saw her, he thought to himself, I was wondering where you went. This mage's skill is the type that automatically dispels if you wait a bit. But I should resist to stay in character, right? Since life gave him a role, he didn't hesitate to put on a performance. Shut up. The Inquisitor used a confused gaze to question Oliver. Archmage, what's going on? Why are you telling us to stop? Before she could even finish her words, she noticed Anfet's sword overflowing with mana. He swung his arm forcefully, and all the chains shattered at once. The blade slashed across right after, stopping just a few centimeters away from the Inquisitor. It carried enough destructive power to ruin the entire ceiling. Isrin had crawled under the desk at some point, her face completely pale. Oliver stood jaw-dropped, unable to believe what had just unfolded. After that outburst of power, Anfet's sword was still wrapped in thick, purple mana. The atmosphere in the inn's front lobby grew 10 times tenser. The Inquisitor then spoke in a hushed voice, asking, He broke the Archmage's binding skill so easily? How? Anfet's lips pressed into a tight line, his face growing even darker. But inside, he was quite smug. You see that, right? That's weird. Dozens of comments from players wanting to nerf mages. Binding skills were definitely way too OP in the original game, to the point where people constantly demanded a nerf. Dozens of comments about gamers wanting to tone down the power of mages meant that binding skills were definitely an overpowered ability in the original game, to the point where people constantly demanded it be nerfed. Oliver let out an awkwardly fake cough. First, both of you calm down. It seems there's been another misunderstanding. But the Inquisitor didn't think she was in the wrong. What are you talking about? I saw him finish someone off with my own eyes. Please explain yourself. She was getting a bit annoyed now. Inquisitor, has your rage against evil blinded you? Look around carefully. Verify for yourself whether that young man actually killed anyone. After taking a look around, she finally realized that Philip was still alive. A monster. The Inquisitor's eyes went wide like a 3-year-old child. He's really not dead? She was so astonished that she turned to Anfet to confirm. He's actually alive. On the outside, he looked annoyed, but inside he was 10 times happier. Just as expected. I wanted to kill him, but I didn't. A moment later, Oliver made a suggestion. Could you explain the situation if you don't mind? I know it's shameless to ask for an explanation after a shoot first, ask questions later attack, but the other guests have already come out here. Instead of causing unnecessary misunderstandings, give us a chance to soothe their anxieties. Without her point, Anfet wouldn't have even realized when they had gathered together like this. Saying that, he ordered Philip, confess it yourself. Anfet had a bit of unspoken frustration. And stop showing off your butt, man. He turned his head back, trembling. Please spare me. Anfet's eyes lit up as if he could pocket Philip at any moment. Do I have to repeat myself? He screamed in sheer desperation. his face turning pale. No, I was after his money. It's all my fault. He was so generous to the errand boy. I thought he was super rich, so With just that statement, Anfet felt much more at ease. The misunderstanding was completely cleared up. Tired as hell, he didn't wait for anyone to speak and simply turn around to leave. From now on, you'd better pay more attention to security. I'm leaving, Isrin stammered, trying to hold him back. What? Wait. Adventurer. He didn't care and walked straight out the door. I already put the gear I wasn't wearing into my inventory, so it's awesome that I don't have to pack real luggage. Behind Anfet's back came the sound of hurried, rushed footsteps. After walking a few steps, he froze, thinking to himself, wait, why do that nun and mage look so familiar? Last time it was too dark and chaotic, so I couldn't get a good look at them. But meeting them again now, Anfet's train of thought was cut short by the Inquisitor. Wait, hey. Following those words, his footsteps also stopped, his eyes cautiously glancing back. The Inquisitor seemed to have chased after him in such a hurry that her breathing was completely out of whack. Anfet's pupils looked at her current appearance with pure confusion. Outside the door of the Tatara trading post, the Inquisitor stopped, panting heavily. He turned his head as if wanting to get a clearer look. Taking a close look at this face, this nun, she had rosy cheeks and the kind of hairstyle that people often call a death flag hairstyle. And in particular, the Inquisitor had a combination with sparkling green eyes. From these features, Anfet could recognize that wasn't this the official nun-class character in Legend of Heroes? Right after that, Oliver opened the door and ran over just in time. Inquisitor, rushing out recklessly like that is dangerous. She patiently reminded her sentence by sentence. If you want to talk, you need to calm down and think about what to say and how the other person will react. His eyes shifted back to Oliver. Looking closely, the Archmage was the same. She had a tall, muscular appearance like a white lion of the Shajai race, a beastkin race in the game, which was the official appearance of the mage character. Anfet couldn't hide his scrutinizing gaze. In the original game, I don't remember any characters from other classes appearing besides the player. Since each character's backstory was naturally different, a thought suddenly crossed his mind. Seeing them cling to me like this, is party formation with NPCs mandatory? At this point, Anfet clicked his tongue internally. I don't want to. If I want to team up, I wouldn't have chosen to roleplay like this. With such a high degree of freedom, it shouldn't be mandatory, right? Or should I test the waters to see how they act? Having said that, he put on a disgusted face. Don't you know what shut up means? Or are the words of a demon's offspring unable to reach the ears of a noble, exalted nun? She was rendered speechless for a moment. No. I'm sorry. Not knowing what she was thinking, the Inquisitor suddenly squeezed her eyes shut. Unexpectedly, she dropped straight to her knees in front of Anfet. The insult I caused you cannot be redeemed with mere empty words. The Inquisitor even thumped her chest and declared, if an apology isn't enough, just take my head. Faced with her overly resolute action, the atmosphere between the two of them fell into complete silence, with neither saying another word. Anfet's mood at that moment was utterly shocked. Is she crazy? He couldn't believe those words came from an arrogant nun. Sorry, but I only like playing solo. I'm not a bloodthirsty execution machine. Got it? Why is her way of thinking so extreme? After that, Anfet turned toward Oliver's direction. Who taught her this mindset? The temple? Or was it you, Archmage? But then he was left feeling helpless. Even the Archmage was wearing a damn it, what do we do now kind of face. Deep down, Anfet felt extremely damaged. Still, she should stop her. If I refuse here, it'll completely break my OC character persona. Right at this moment, Oliver looked up and met Anfet's searching gaze. She was frightened out of her wits for a moment, her face turning pale. From the Archmage perspective, Anfet radiated a terrifying, bloodthirsty aura. Oliver couldn't help but plead. Please have mercy. The Inquisitor only recently left the temple. She still knows too little about the outside world. It's mostly my fault for not stopping her in time. So please punish this old woman instead of her. The Inquisitor remained a righteous person. Archmage, please don't do that. It was my fault. She didn't care and just tried to explain to him. I know I have no right to say this, but please. She still wants to take responsibility herself. I didn't. Though still lacking experience, This responsibility is mine alone. The situation became increasingly stuck in a deadlock. No choice then. I'll have to handle it myself. Anfet reached out his hand to touch the pocket on his side. Even if it's an NPC, this feeling is really uncomfortable. But what can you do? Honestly, this situation is kind of funny, so I'll just go with the flow. He quickly pulled out his sword. I gave you a chance. After throwing the sheath onto the ground, Anfet's voice grew even lower. And yet you chose to accept punishment. At that point, the Inquisitor could only press her lips together, bowing her head slightly to accept her guilt. Anfet reached out and grabbed a section of her hair. He directly used the sharp edge of the blade to make a swift, basic cut, to the extent that Oliver also had to hold her breath, waiting for the final result. The Inquisitor's hands gripped her weapon tightly, trembling uncontrollably. She waited for a while, and nothing happened. So, she opened her eyes slightly to take a peek. Anfet seemed to have finished his work and had already sheathed his sword at some point. The Inquisitor looked down at the ground and saw that one of her braids had been chopped off. She looked at her current appearance in sheer panic. The Inquisitor gritted her teeth again and raised her face as if questioning Anfet. She couldn't help but stammer out, "Why?" The corner of his lips curled up into a smile. Why is why? This genius roleplay addict had just spared their lives without breaking character at all. Anfet rubbed his chin as he remembered something. Thinking back, the girl in the opening section was around her age and also used a dagger. Oliver was quite worried about the Inquisitor's hair. My God, she's stunned by that behavior. Did he really just leave just like that? Before leaving, Anfet only tossed back one line. Take a look at your hair, and from now on, mind your mouth. He secretly praised himself in his heart. I removed that death flag hairstyle for you, so you'd better start appreciating your life. Still, on the outside, Anfet remained cold, because next time, the head that rolls will be yours. Hearing that, the Inquisitor wanted to say something more to him. However, Oliver beside her held the Inquisitor back, while Anfet remained proud of himself. Don't you get it? I removed that death flag hairstyle. Now you have to live a long life. Even if I leave them behind, these high-tier NPCs will probably stalk me on their own anyway, right? He walked away coolly while celebrating internally, eagerly waiting to see what event they would trigger next. At the same time, the Inquisitor regained her composure thanks to the Archmage. Her voice was still quite stammering. Did you say he wasn't, that his body was overtaken by a demon? She quickly affirmed. That's right. The Inquisitor stood up and reached a conclusion. Then he must have suffered immensely because of that demon. The hatred he had to endure to achieve such overwhelming power is truly unimaginable. And yet, he simply walked away, despite having enough power to act upon that hatred. Oliver was finally able to breathe a sigh of relief. That is mercy, Inquisitor. She kept looking at Anfet's fading silhouette. With that kind of resolve, he might have overcome even the demon dwelling inside his body. She wondered if that was the strength of his heart. Saying that, the Inquisitor bent down to pick up the lock of hair on the ground. I still have a lot to learn. Oliver smiled and offered advice. There's no other way. You haven't been out in the world for long. So from now on, unexpectedly, before she could finish speaking, she was cut off by her. And I've realized one thing. He is undeniably and without a doubt a necessary character for our journey. On the Inquisitor's face now burned a fierce determination like never before. Oliver was stunned for a moment by that sudden action. For a split second, her face showed an expression of absolute, enlightened composure. Looking at the moonlight illuminating the dark night, Oliver could only sigh in her heart. Good Lord. One thing's for sure. Tonight is truly beautiful. There are about 2 days left before the full dive period expires. Returning to the peaceful town, where he could abandon his fake name for work convenience, hide his identity, and take on any job hired for, using the familiar name Gratchend, which was his real name in his previous life. It was now the next morning at another nearby inn, with everyone sitting inside chatting happily. Gratchend stabbed his fork hard into the piece of meat in front of him, his expression turning worse by the second. Seeing him like this, the Inquisitor and Oliver felt a bit flustered. In truth, Gratchend's attitude was actually very relaxed. Why are you so late? Were you planning to let me rest? Because you were worried I'd be tired? Overthinking it, really. But on the outside, he still acted cold. He abruptly asked a question. Is my other eye blind? Or are your ears deaf? Gretchen thought to himself, should I flip the table or just smash everything? Nah, the food is innocent. After all, I still have the soul of a Korean. Oliver hurriedly stepped forward to explain. Wait, at least hear us out first. I swear you won't regret listening. But his attitude was very decisive. No, there's nothing to hear. He coldly turned his face away. Just looking at you guys ruins my mood. As soon as he finished his sentence, the Inquisitor spoke up flusterly. Me? She shouted helplessly. I sincerely came here because I wanted to learn from your generosity. After saying these words, her face suddenly flushed red. Gretchen's attitude remained very indifferent, as if nothing had happened. He asked himself, I acted way too deep. Because I rejected the old script, I caused her to completely break character. The Inquisitor bowed her head to admit her fault. Be tolerant and understanding toward others, while casting aside pride and stubbornness. I've been taught that my whole life, but I failed to do it. Her palms clenched tightly. But you were different. Time and time again, you forgave my insults. That certainly wasn't easy for you. Her attitude had completely changed. I've seen the path I must take thanks to you. The Inquisitor explained nervously. I know I've been extremely rude up until now. Yet despite that, seeing Gretchen show no reaction, she grew even more desperate. I am screwed. He only let out a terrifying smirk. He didn't know how to handle this and surrendered right then and there. Ever since I became an otaku, I've always had a soft spot for characters like this. Thinking back, even when playing Legend of Heroes, Priest was my favorite class. Gretchen stepped forward and patted the Inquisitor's head. Is that so? It's fine. It happens. Damn, she's so cute. But all of that was just in his head. He told himself he had to hold back, so he wouldn't break character. Right then, the Inquisitor looked at him with anxious eyes. She hurriedly bowed her head. Did I say something wrong? Was I being rude again? But the obvious reality stabbed straight into Gretchen's heart. On the outside, he stayed as cold as humanly possible. Thinking for a moment, he spoke up. If your goal was to get on my nerves, then you've certainly made things interesting. Gretchen reached for the sword on his back. How refreshing to see someone wanting to log out in such a unique way. Oliver hurriedly stepped forward. That's not at all. Please listen to what I have to say first. He still didn't seem to care. I have nothing to listen to. The only thing I have for her is this blade. She hastily interrupted. Satan. She swallowed her pride completely. If we told you that you could destroy Satan, the Lord of Demons, would you still draw your sword? Upon hearing these words, Gretchen's expression suddenly shifted. He slowly lowered his sword, but his face remained terrifyingly serious. What do you mean by that? Oliver and the Inquisitor hastily stood up straight with pride. The two of them turned to look at each other, sharing the exact same thought. They understood clearly that the solitary gaze staring at them radiated an unprecedentedly terrifying killer intent. Clearly, he hated demons more than anyone they had ever met. The Inquisitor looked at her own reflection on the blade. Now that Satan's name had been uttered, if they dared hide even a shred of the truth, this blind man's ruthless sword would tear them to pieces. She clenched her fists tightly. Yet the false Inquisitor did not hesitate at all, her eyes turning resolute. Because my life is dedicated to the greater cause. The Inquisitor knew full well that if she deceived him now, death would be a fitting punishment. But Gretchen thought to himself, so cool. The Satan storyline is already popping up. He felt extraordinarily thrilled. Today's episode is absolute cinema. The story was told about the false Inquisitor, which originally meant an investigator or judge of faith matters. However, in the game, False Inquisitor was the priest's third job advancement. According to the world lore, they were the enforcers of the temple's will in the outside world. Oliver recounted what she knew. Though she is quite young for a False Inquisitor, there's a reason she left the temple. Gretchen listened to her words in silence. It's all because of a revelation. The Inquisitor helplessly placed her hand on her chest. Though I am unworthy, the Lord sent a message that my mission is to destroy Satan. She looked up at Gretchen. Yet the Lord also told me I cannot do it alone and must seek companions. She continued to explain. That's why I first sought out the Archmage, and together we set out to find others. Oliver let out a soft sigh. We came back to find you, fully knowing it would annoy you. precisely for that reason. The Inquisitor turned her head to look at her. Archmage, didn't you say everything would be fine? Oliver hurriedly turned her face away and cleared her throat a few times. Gretchen's expression grew even worse. Turns out the poor girl was dragged along by a lie. She looks so cute, like a little steamed bun, I can barely hold back my laugh. He startled himself, wondering, wait, how is this happening? Isn't the player supposed to be the one who receives the revelation? He grew even more infuriated. Don't tell me the storyline of this remake revolves entirely around these priests. Seeing Gretchen's attitude, Oliver spoke up hurriedly. So hey, she looked slightly hopeful. Will you join us in destroying Satan? A notification suddenly popped up. First step, defeat the Demon King. He remained silent, thinking it over. Main quest, she continued recounting. I've done some digging, and you're quite a famous mercenary. Word has it you've never backed down when hunting demons. She looked at Gretchen with curiosity. If Satan is destroyed, won't the demons across this land be forced to retreat? He suddenly found it hilarious. That kid is supposed to be the hero. Oliver placed a hand on the Inquisitor's shoulder. If you need proof, we can head to the church together with. She didn't forget to explain. Every single temple will prove that she is the hero. Gretchen remained silent in deep thought for a long time. What am I supposed to do now? Gretchen's voice suddenly dropped low following those words. He warned the two of them. You'd better not be lying to me. He observed his companion, the false Inquisitor, and the other companion, who was an archmage. A system notification appeared. First step, defeat the Demon King. Join the subjugation party. Speaking to the archmage, Gretchen looked up toward Oliver. Once everything was negotiated, Gretchen got on the carriage and left. He looked back at Isran and the boy behind him. I've joined the subjugation party and immediately departed from the Tatara trading post. He thought to himself, there were a few side events, like the inn asking for another chance or someone offering a reward. Thinking up to this point, Gretchen suddenly felt exhausted, but to maintain his character persona and focus on the main quest, he skipped them all. He just felt like something wasn't right. Yet Gretchen only wanted to avoid the Inquisitor's gaze. Why does this girl keep staring at me? This made him feel a bit flustered. Ever since I agreed to go with the subjugation party, the pressure has been insane. I'm the only thing reflected in her eyes. Gretchen let out a quiet sigh. I clearly keep saying harsh, bitter things to her. He glanced outside. If there were an affection system, I'd think it would have hit rock bottom by now. A notification suddenly popped up before his eyes. You can travel with designated NPCs, track the location of companion NPCs, and give orders to companion NPCs, depending on their affection level. The attitude of NPCs will change according to affection, and this stat is hidden. Gretchen was quite surprised. Usually my affection level would plummet into the abyss because of my roleplay addiction. He coldly announced, Don't even dream that I will consider you my comrades. Gretchen suddenly recalled, That's just the kind of stuff I usually say. He asked himself, or is her affection defaulted to high from the start because she's an early game NPC? The Inquisitor was in high spirits. She stared at him with a smile. This made Gretchen rate her in his mind. She's so adorable, just like a little kimchi dumpling. He sank into his thoughts. Ever since that cute hairstyle got cut off, she looks even more like a steamed bun, staring at me with her eyes wide open. That combination of strong, yet fiercely passionate, it's genuinely adorable. His mood suddenly brightened, feeling like a parent watching a child he raised himself. After a period of silence, Oliver suddenly spoke up. Hey, she asked curiously, Aren't you going to ask us anything? Like whether we really receive the revelation, where we're headed, and why things are like this? Gretchen didn't know what to say. Simply because you guys are just game characters and I won't know what the next map is until we get there. But he still acted cool. If that revelation is a pile of lies, I'll send you both packing to the afterlife. Other than that, I don't care where you go or what you do. He warned the two of them. If you've got any sense left, figure out what I need to know and tell me beforehand. Oliver couldn't help but be surprised. You sound like you trust us completely. Her voice had a slight hesitation, though it's probably just because you find these trivial matters too annoying to bother with. Thinking for a moment, she decided to tell him anyway. The temple sent a request to eliminate some demons, and that's where we're heading. The Inquisitor was about to add more. Our support for the temple is completely independent from the subjugation party. As servants of God, Helping those in distress is our duty. Gretchen abruptly cut her off. I don't care about any of that. He bluntly asked both of them. Which demon and how many? She hurriedly reminded him. We only received news that demons have appeared, so we need to go to the temple first to get the details. Gretchen scowled with sheer contempt. Useless deadweights. A system notification appeared. Demons lurking in the village. Go to the temple and speak with the bishop. He was quite surprised. It's not a main quest, but Gretchen didn't care much. Whatever, as long as the story keeps moving forward. He calculated in his mind. There's about a day and a half of actual playtime left in the game, right? Even though he complained about how traveling by carriage like this was going to waste a ton of time uselessly. Feeling exhausted, Gretchen decided to catch a quick nap first. He glanced at the two sitting opposite him. They'll wake me up when we arrive. Seeing him fall asleep, the Inquisitor looked extremely excited. Yesterday night, she was still sitting in the prayer room. Oliver suddenly knocked on the door. Inquisitor, may I come in? She nodded in agreement. Yes, Archmage. She slowly opened the door. I think we need to talk. Oliver stepped inside. You know full well what it meant that he could have taken your life. Her eyes turned troubled. Don't tell me you don't realize how heavy the mission tied to your life is. Saying up to here, Oliver didn't know how to explain what would have happened if he hadn't shown mercy at that moment. The Inquisitor abruptly interrupted. You are entirely correct. I spoke far too impulsively and thoughtlessly back then. She turned her head back. Yet, Archmage, didn't I almost kill an innocent person by mistake as well? She blamed herself deeply. Justice is merely violence with a reason, so it must be used cautiously and seriously. Oliver sighed. Never be overly confident in your own justice. She continued to remind her. That is the 9th commandment. The Inquisitor's hands began to tremble. If my hand had slipped and I killed him back then, how many more innocent lives would my foolishness have harmed? She deeply regretted her actions. Does someone like me, who doesn't even fully understand the word of God, truly deserve to be a hero? She continued recounting. And yet, through his tolerance, he gave me a chance to repent and awaken. When I uttered those words, I was ready to accept death. The Inquisitor looked straight into Oliver's eyes. But it was his benevolence that helped me take one step closer to my mission. She felt deeply moved. Doesn't that make him like an emissary delivering divine teachings on behalf of the gods? Returning to reality, the Inquisitor looked at the fast asleep Gretchen. She smiled warmly, praying that the gods grant him a peaceful sleep. The carriage carrying the three of them traveled to a new land. The time was late at night at an inn. Gretchen's mood at this moment was absolutely terrible. He sighed and cursed in his mind. 3 whole days lost in game. What an insanely garbage game. He felt deeply heartbroken. If traveling takes this much time, they should have just banned full dive mode altogether. My full dive fluid burned through hundreds of thousands of gold in cold hard cash. Gretchen angrily looked around. Since it's come to this, I need to rush the story as fast as possible in the time I have left. A new quest popped up. First step, defeat the Demon King. Go to the temple and speak with the bishop. The Inquisitor smiled with excitement. That took longer than I thought. No more beating around the bush. Let's head to the temple right away. Realizing he had already walked ahead made her startle. When did he leave? She hurriedly ran after him. Wait for me, demon-slaying knight. I'm coming too. Oliver could only walk slowly behind. This old body can't keep up with you guys. Noticing something wasn't right drew her attention. She let out a soft sigh. I don't know why, but I keep feeling so restless and anxious inside. In the sky, a flock of black crows flew in one direction as if portending ill fortune. The scene shifted to a grand royal palace. A short while later, Gretchen set foot in this place. Dozens of blades threatened him, yet he remained perfectly calm. A sage's intuition has come true. A crowd of people looked at him with hateful eyes, shouting warnings. There's a demon. The Inquisitor hurriedly ran up to stand in front of Gretchen, shielding him. She raised her voice to explain. Listen, he is not an enemy. The new knight realized in surprise that the birthmark on her hand was the hero's emblem. She spoke with a resolute tone. I swear on my name as a hero. He is merely a victim of evil demons, not their minion. The people around kept whispering, but there's clearly a demon's killer aura on him. She's young, so she probably doesn't know any better. Since she only recently received the revelation anyway, we should report this first. Oliver stepped forward, raising the scepter in her hand. Before anyone could figure out what was happening, she slammed it hard onto the ground. Oliver stepped forward and reminded them, "Order, everyone." Her tone carried a hint of annoyance. "The hero told you to lower your weapons, yet you refused to listen." Seeing that she had stepped up, the crowd glanced at each other, and finally, they decided to put down their weapons. The obvious truth is that the god's messenger has spoken. "We shall obey." The leader stepped forward and offered, "We will lead you inside." Oliver approached Gratchen and explained, "Please don't hold it against them. They didn't mean any harm." He scowled in response. "If they meant any harm, I would have chopped their heads off moments ago." But deep down, he was extremely pleased. These misunderstanding events are the absolute best. Nothing feels better than having NPCs step in to resolve things for you like this. He couldn't wait any longer. "Let's go inside." Gratchen was in a great mood. Seeing those two act so timid and reserved is pretty cute. He suddenly realized something was off. Still, fun is fun. However, a new challenge was awaiting him. Maybe because this full dive game is too realistic, I'm starting to feel exhausted. Thinking for a moment, Gratchen decided that once he got the information, he would just disappear. Everyone proceeded inside the large room. The bishop said to everyone present, "I believe we've heard enough about the incident." He smiled and suggested, "It's getting late, so please return to the prepared rooms to rest. If you'd rather not eat together, we can have servants bring food straight up to your rooms." Gratchen thought to himself, "What he means is he wants me to behave, stay cooped up in my room and sleep, and not wander around, right?" He asked himself if he was being overly paranoid. Then again, when talking feels like a battle of wits like this, who wouldn't get paranoid? Gratchen stood up decisively. "Role-playing is fun and all, but forcing myself to act like this is exhausting too." Deep down, he knew full well what mattered, so he spoke up coldly. "I refuse. I'd rather sleep on the ground outside than spend the night in this swamp full of fakes." The bishop couldn't believe his ears. What? A system notification appeared. Demons lurking in the village. Hunt down the demon hiding in the village. Options: ask villagers or search for demon clues. He allowed a soft sigh. Quest just got updated. Time to go investigate, and I think I know what kind of demon it is. Gratchen abruptly turned around to leave, causing Oliver to worry. Demon slaying night. The Inquisitor was about to give chase. "Please wait a moment." She instinctively reached out her hand to grab Gratchen's hand, but this action made him extremely uncomfortable. He coldly warned, "Don't touch me so casually." Realizing her action, the Inquisitor bowed her head flusteringly. "I'm sorry." Oliver stepped forward and placed a hand on her shoulder. "Where are you going?" Gratchen didn't offer much explanation, simply turning around to walk away as he replied, "I'm going to kill demons. Where else?" In his head, he mentally sent a message to the two of them. "Sorry, but waiting for you guys would take forever. I'm going to speedrun this quest and come right back." Hearing him say that, the Inquisitor hurriedly offered, "I will go too." Oliver merely let out a subtle, mysterious smile. She looked at Gratchen's departing back. "You're making this old body feel so ashamed." She reminded her, "Let's go as well." The false Inquisitor nodded in joyful agreement. "Yes, Archmage." Seeing everyone leave, the bishop felt extremely flustered. "Sage hero." Remembering something, Oliver turned her head back. "We deeply appreciate the bishop's kind intentions." She couldn't hide her annoyance. However, our friend is not irresponsible enough to go to sleep knowing there's a demon right before his eyes. His face suddenly turned terrible. The Inquisitor hurriedly ran after Gratchen. "Please wait. We'll go with you." She called out to the demon-slaying knight outside the door. The Black Crow had heard everything. It silently observed the entire situation, and once it gathered the information, the flock of crows flew away from this place. The scene shifted to late at night, with the moon high in the sky. Gratchen walked while thinking. In the end, we still ended up forming a party and traveling together. Oliver seemed to remember something. "All right. Now let's go find witnesses to gather information." He abruptly interrupted her. "No need." She turned her head to look at him. "Have you already figured out what kind of demon it is this time?" Gratchen suddenly felt disheartened. This old lady clearly knows already, yet she's deliberately testing me. The Inquisitor looked at him with a clueless gaze. May we hear your thoughts? Looking like a little steamed bun made Gratchen want to laugh. He hastily turned his face away. I almost burst out laughing like a father proud of his child. Gratchen replied coldly, "It's hard to believe someone like you is a hero." The Inquisitor firmly reminded him, "I admit I have many shortcomings, but please do not speak such rude words." She continued to probe. So in the end, which demon is hiding here? Gratchen turned his face the other way. Getting mocked like that, and she still tells everyone not to doubt God's will. She really has no tact, but it's honestly admirable. He turned around to keep walking. It's a Draugr. The Inquisitor couldn't hide her surprise. So that's how it is. If it's a Draugr, everything makes sense. Oliver suddenly felt curious. Then we should look for places with a strong, foul stench, right? She continued to suggest, if there's a cemetery nearby, that would be the best place to investigate. I heard Draugrs are all born from cemeteries. She nodded in praise. You're quite well informed, false Inquisitor, she replied excitedly. I'm nowhere near comparable to you and the demon-slaying knight. Gratchen remained silent in deep thought for a long time, but he was trembling from holding back his laughter. Watching this little girl grow, holding back laughter is no easy task. Need to refocus. Think about gloomy, serious stuff, come on. He connected everything more thoroughly. Thinking back in the original game, this Draugr incident was the exact reason the village temple became corrupted, giving rise to demon worshippers. He felt a bit expectant. I wonder how things will go in this remake. Realizing something wasn't right put the Inquisitor on guard. She turned her head to look in one direction. I smell something really strange. It's coming from inside here. All three looked at the narrow alley right in front of them. Thinking for a moment, Gratchen pulled out an oil lamp. He held it forward to observe the alley more clearly. Seeing the human corpse lying there, he understood right away. That's right. Starting from this very moment, everything was far more troublesome than he had thought. Things began to take a turn that no one had anticipated. Gratchen held the lamp and stepped closer, examining it more thoroughly. All three noticed the color of the corpse, surrounded by swarming flies and mosquitoes. The Inquisitor had to cover her mouth at the sight. Dear Lord, Oliver quickly turned away. I'll go call the guards right away. She nodded in agreement. Yes, I'm counting on you. Gratchen suddenly felt puzzled. He had thought they just added smells to the streets to fit the historical setting. He didn't expect the draws to leave behind such a foul stench just by passing through. Hunting these things on his own was going to be exhausting. Gratchen held his breath and stepped closer to examine the corpse. He sighed with a slight sense of helplessness. We arrived too late. After thinking for a moment, he decided, just leave it to me to claim justice for you. Gratchen placed his hand over the corpse's eyes, so rest in peace. The Inquisitor clasped her hands behind him. I will pray for them. As soon as she finished speaking, she began chanting strange incantations. Gratchen sighed softly. Even though I don't believe in gods, your way of guiding them doesn't look half bad. Oliver ran over to inform the two of them. The guards will be here soon to carry the body away. She continued to speculate. Judging by how strong this stench is, they were probably killed just a few minutes ago. That draw definitely hasn't gone far. Wasting no time, Oliver used her ability to search the surrounding area. She explained to the two of them. This is a tracking spell. She reminded them again. Although it won't last long, it's enough to chase after it. Gratchen quickly ran toward the direction of the anomaly. Oliver sighed and reminded him, making this old body look like a fool again. Let's go. The fake Inquisitor obediently complied. Yes, she had noticed something unusual. I will cleanse the demonic miasma as we go. Looking at the light emanating from behind, Gratchen thought to himself, this way I won't have to worry about getting lost on the way back. Gratchen's mood suddenly improved. Going solo or role-playing was fun, but having a party made these things much more convenient. Noticing something, he glanced in one direction. Gratchen slammed on the brakes abruptly. The draw had already fled at some point. Looking at the path ahead, the Inquisitor was furious. Damn it, we have nowhere else to go. It's a dead end. Oliver, standing behind, felt a bit helpless. Geez, looks like if FaZe walked right through that wall to keep going. She immediately suggested, we should head to higher ground to find another way around. Gratchen thought to himself, theoretically, that's a good idea. But since this is a game after all, maybe I should try this out. His actions made Oliver anxious. Hold on. We're doing that again. Gretchen didn't hesitate for a second and leaped into the air. He took advantage of the narrow alley to propel himself straight onto the rooftop. He wanted to catch the draw as fast as possible. Oliver and the Inquisitor could only stare blankly at his departing back. Gretchen successfully scaled the towering wall. Standing high above, he surveyed the area, searching for signs. That brief delay had given the draw enough time to escape, making his search a bit difficult. The Inquisitor and Oliver hurriedly gave chase. She called out to the demon slayer knight. Oliver also had to sigh helplessly. What a reckless guy. Neither of them could do what Gretchen did, so they could only watch him from afar. Recalling his action just now, Gretchen burst into excited laughter. That was cool as hell. His whole body trembled with thrill. Jumping around like this without even using skills yet, feeling the air resistance on landing made it feel so realistic. Gretchen was indulging in an extreme high. Could I actually have a hidden talent for parkour? Remembering something, he quickly focused on the main task. Gotta find that demon before the tracking spell runs out. Spotting the tracks right in front of him, he understood right away. So that's how it is? Gretchen's expression suddenly changed. Just a stinky bug, and you dare try to play cat and mouse with me? He declared coldly. Well, this ends right here. Wasting no time, Gretchen moved quickly. He leaped from one side to another at rapid speed. Nothing could keep up with him. At this moment, an excited smile appeared on Gretchen's face. He felt as if he had turned into a superhero. He thought to himself, long live RPGs, this god tier. Right after, Gretchen landed flawlessly. Glory belongs to the heavens. His gaze grew terrifyingly sharp, demanding justice for the deceased. Standing before him was the Mirage Draugr, a creature that tricks human vision to devour them. Risen from the grave. It could phase through solid stone to hunt its prey. Gretchen pointed the tip of his sword at it. This pathetic game of hide-and-seek ends here. All right then. Realizing something was off, Gretchen froze. He asked himself, I thought the system would auto-spawn the party NPCs to keep up no matter what. Why aren't they here yet? He felt a bit hopeless. If only I had some kimchi dumplings here to cleanse this place right now. This stench is horrific. Gretchen was still complaining in his mind. Seeing this in 3D makes timing skill casts hard as hell. He asked himself, should I wait a bit longer to see if the companion NPCs show up? Suddenly, one stepped forward. So it really is you, Gretchen. His tone carried a hint of joy. I was just wondering how to skin those heretics. He slowly walked right up to Gretchen. It's truly a delight that you came all this way just to deliver your own life. Want flashed an excited grin. Gretchen, the king is looking for you. A system prompt appeared. Demon Pact. Those who sell their souls to demons in exchange for power. It's hard to tell whether they sold themselves to demons or to their own desires. Reading through this information, Gretchen froze completely. Say what? He looked at the lunatic in front of him. Which king? The king of the Demon Pact freeloaders? Why is he looking for me? Got a death wish? What kind of plot is this? How am I supposed to roleplay this now? While he was still confused, Juan continued. If you get captured by those heretics, I'll lend a hand so we can enjoy a massacre festival together. Gretchen felt something was wrong. There was no guy with this name in Legend of Heroes, was there? Looking down at the crest on his armor, he froze in utter disbelief. Time seemed to stand still. The two of them locked eyes in silence. Gretchen asked himself, I accidentally walked into the demon worshipper storyline. Gretchen recalled, you have made a choice. An inhuman power has awakened. You have acquired knowledge that does not belong to mortals. You have endured agonizing, horrific torment, and then you broke free from the chains of mortality. You awakened a new power. Now you are on the path to becoming a true demon knight. Gretchen stared blankly, asking himself, so this is what it feels like. He suddenly cheered up. Well, I'm going to grind out different endings anyway. I'll just try it out later. Confused, Juan called out, Lord Gretchen. Without hesitation, he raised his sword high. For now, he had to keep playing the part to maintain character. Not wanting to waste time, Gretchen made his move. His power was utterly terrifying, sweeping everything away. Curiously, he raised his head and looked forward. Did that hit? From just a single attack, Juan suddenly grew terrified. Gretchen sighed softly. He actually used that draw like a slab of beef jerky for cover. Realizing the situation was dire, he hastily changed his tone. I apologize, Lord Grachand. I misspoke when I said you were captured. That was deeply disrespectful of me. Please forgive me. Hearing this made him even more annoyed. Forgive? He just wanted to wrap this up as fast as possible. Even if you go to hell, you're not getting saved. In desperation, Want hastily began summoning. Grachan's target right now was the drow. It had transformed into a knight before his eyes. Regarding Grachand as the enemy, it raised the weapon in its hands high. Naturally, he wasn't afraid in the slightest and faced it head-on. Grachan's power was far too terrifying. Even a Mirage Draw struggled to resist it. Using his strength, he slashed away the thing blocking his vision. Get out of my way. After just a few moves, the Mirage Draw's body couldn't hold its ground. Seeing that things were tougher than he thought, Grachan frowned. I hate these formless mob types the most. Slashing them with a sword feels so empty, not satisfying at all. Having no choice, he charged forward again. This pack guy buffed the draw, making this fight such a drag. Thinking for a moment, he decided to take out the pack guy, first to make it quick and clean. Grachand looked at the weapon in his hand. Besides, he wanted to test this thing out too. To avoid wasting time, he leaped into the air. His goal this time was to knock the Mirage Draw backward, taking the chance to push forward again. That heavy strike from earlier left a skill effect lingering for the next hit. He had calculated it in advance. It would still work even if he didn't do a direct downward chop. Grachan's eyes filled with determination. Let's give it a shot then. Holding his sword, he rushed toward the Mirage Draw and smashed it right in the face. Looks like he pulled it off. A sudden flash of light burst forth. The next second, the Mirage Draw's entire body completely exploded. Everything returned to normal. A prompt appeared. Defeat Draw 1-1. Next objective. Capture the Demon Pact user alive. Grachan sighed and stepped up to Want. The annoying obstacle is gone. He looked at the trembling man in front of him. Time to kick the bucket, you insect. The man begged repeatedly. I had no intention of touching the Mabon Merchant Guild. If I knew Lord Grachan had his eyes on them, I wouldn't dare even if you paid me. He suddenly found it hilarious. Turns out this was where he had to grind his butt off at the start of the game. Seeing his actions, Want hastily spoke up. But Lord Grachan, he didn't give up hope to save his own life. That kid isn't an ordinary heretic. That's the most dangerous one. The one called a hero, he kept explaining frantically. If you take that head back to present to the king, you'll be handsomely rewarded. Right at that moment, Oliver and the Inquisitor rushed over. Demon Slayer Knight. The moment he saw her, Want's expression turned pale. Crap, a heretic. Grachan's mood brightened instantly. Awesome. I was worried I'd break character and have to kill him while he was spilling info. He reminded the two of them. You guys took way too long. The Inquisitor immediately dropped into a battle stance. That sinner sold his body and soul to demons. I will fight alongside you, Demon Slayer Knight. Seeing the situation, Want turned back to look at him in despair. Are you really doing this? Why? He kept cursing nonstop. Why would you betray us? Grachan kept a calm demeanor. Like hell I'd know, pal. But he didn't feel like wasting time explaining. I don't even know if I'm on your side or what the hell a Grachand is. So why should I care? I'll find out as the game unfolds later. He immediately signaled for one to go ahead and drop dead. Not wanting to waste time, he raised his sword high, his expression turning even more menacing. Pest like you don't get to ask why. Atone with your death. And just like that, Grachan completed the quest with flying colors. Time gradually shifted toward the next morning. Everyone headed inside the massive cathedral. One had also been locked up in the dungeon by the group. Grachan stood in the back, watching everyone's departing backs. Feeling puzzled, the Inquisitor turned around to look at him. He maintained a cold composure, acting as though he had seen that the Demon Pack guy was still alive. Back when they returned last night, Want was screaming and trembling. Just as Grachan was about to finish him off, he was stopped by Olive. Using her weak strength, she tried her best to stop him from taking Want out. Annoyed, he questioned her. You trying to get in my way? Oliver reminded him angrily. Calm down first. Capturing him alive is way more useful than killing him. While Grachan was still thinking it over, she continued her analysis. A draw isn't a normal demon. Someone definitely backed this up and helped summon it. She tried her best to persuade him. Be a little patient. There are matters more important than your momentary anger. Back to reality. Gretchen turned around and walked away, feeling pretty pleased inside. I knew that already. I was just going for a finishing blow. You usually have to chip an NPC's health down before capturing them. After all, a notification popped up, "Capture alive," executed by reducing a portion of the target's HP. If the target falls, it counts as a failure. Gretchen always kept system quests in mind. He suddenly realized something. That status window popped up right after that line, so it must be event dialogue. Come to think of it, since the remake, there are quite a few new systems, which is pretty fun since it feels both familiar and like playing a brand new game. But as Gretchen slowly walked forward, system warnings kept popping up around him, taking him by surprise. Up until now, all of them were warnings that his HP was gradually dropping. Gretchen stepped inside the room. I wanted to tag along to see how the interrogation goes, but there was one thing bugging him. The deeper he walked into the shrine, the faster the warning bar kept flashing. Guess I'll just have to suck it up and turn around. What else can I do? He asked himself. Could it be because that smug demon died by my hand? This must be a hint. The plot later on will explain it. Gretchen suddenly felt disappointed, making me do the priest main quest only to bar me from the shrine. What's up with that? The difficulty of grinding this Demon Knight character is seriously brutal. Thinking about this, he smirked. Then again, I like it. Gretchen slowly walked forward. If I wanted a chill game, I wouldn't have picked roleplay in the first place. Roleplay is the true peak of hardcore gaming, got it? He suddenly got excited. Of course, if you want smooth roleplay, your actual gaming skills gotta be top tier too. If you suck at the game but still try to act cool in roleplay, nobody's gonna want to party up with you. Disappointed, Gretchen asked himself, come to think of it, with this kind of system, am I stuck playing with NPCs until the end of the game? He thought back to Oliver and the Inquisitor. Now that those guys are gone, it feels so empty. A bit lonely, and there's nothing to do right now. A side quest popped up, the villain hidden in the village. Speak with the bishop. Gretchen immediately deduced. Looks like the main quest will only resume after the interrogation is done. He didn't know what to do next. Where should I go to kill time now? The Inquisitor's voice rang out. Demon Knight. She rushed over in a hurry. Where are you going? Let me come with you. He felt something wasn't right. Speak of the devil, and the devil appears. Don't tell me this is scripted by the system too. He glanced at her coldly. What about the interrogation? The Inquisitor turned to explain. Having a hero personally interrogate those demon worshippers is way too much of a treat for them. So the Grand Archmage told me to just follow and assist you, Demon Knight. Gretchen instantly got that he was stuck babysitting. He could already picture Oliver whispering in his ear. Babysit the kid for a bit, will ya? Curiously, she stepped closer to him. Do you have any other business to handle? Gretchen's expression grew worse and worse. Seriously exhausting. He questioned her coldly. Do you guys only hunt demons when someone shoves the info right down your throat? As if realizing something, the Inquisitor's expression suddenly changed. She looked at him brightly. That's such a profound philosophy. I've gained so much enlightenment, as expected of someone at your level. He didn't know what else to say. I'm literally just trying to grind EXP. Helpless, Gretchen closed his eyes tightly. This is totally that type of NPC that keeps hyping up the player at the start of the game, isn't it? He continued to observe the Inquisitor closely. She's kind of chubby and talkative, which is pretty cute. But even if she is cute, at the end of the day, you're still an introvert. So it's a tiny bit annoying. Just open my mouth complaining about being lonely, and now I find it annoying. Human hearts really change fast. The Inquisitor turned back to look at him. It's getting dark, though, so it's going to be tough to gather information now. After thinking for a bit, Gretchen announced, I'm heading to the Adventurers Guild. She suddenly got super excited. Spot on. There must be tons of quests there. Surely some of them are related to demons. You're truly wise. He blamed himself internally. Ah crap, I'm stuck in this edgy persona, so I can't break character. It's not like I actually hate you or anything. But he was so desperate, he was practically crying inside. My character role won't let me be nice to you. This is so painful. The two walked side by side once again. The scene shifted to a large building, which was known as the location of the Adventurers Guild. Even Oliver had to comment in surprise. I didn't expect the Adventurers Guild to be this useful. Experience really speaks volumes for a veteran adventurer. She nodded in approval. I've learned another valuable lesson outside the magic tower. Gretchen pulled out his badge. Hand over any requests related to demons. Chistan glanced at the badge and nodded immediately. I verified your adventurer badge, but demon-related cases are pretty rare. Would you take a case suspected of demon involvement for now? Gratchen looked at him coldly. Hand over the request board. I'll check it myself. His expression suddenly changed. You can read? But Chistan still held out the request form right in front of his face. Even if I give you one, it's just a single suspicious case. Besides, the temple has already stuck its nose into it. On it was information about multiple consecutive deaths of unknown causes in the vicinity. The scene had a foul, pungent stench. Reward, 500,000 G. Gratchen suddenly announced. This case is already wrapped up. Chistan went totally blank. He suddenly felt annoyed. 500,000 gallons down the drain. Not a single piece left for us. The temple cut us off completely. After pondering for a moment, Oliver abruptly asked, any news about mysterious disappearances or anyone suddenly acting strange? The Inquisitor immediately added, no need for an official quest. Rumors will do. After all, look at our adventure badges. Chistan looked up at the two of them. Are you two his party members? He grumbled back. If you want rumors, go ask around yourself or head over to the Information Guild. He kept staring at the badges, an Inquisitor and a sage from the Magic Tower. Chistan's expression instantly flipped. Hold on a sec. Let me squeeze my brain back to when I was still in my mother's womb. Gratchen was completely speechless. That reputation carries real power. Talk about making a game realistic. He kept screaming internally. Mind my own business on the night shift, and VIPs suddenly crash in. Hang in there, me. Suddenly he raised his head and looked at the three of them. It's actually nothing too big. Chistan continued. But lately the adventurers have been whispering that pickpocketing seems to have dropped off significantly. There are noticeably fewer beggars on the streets too. I don't know if there's some kind of plague spreading through the slums or what. Chistan didn't forget to clarify, I don't pay much attention to that district, so don't take my word for it. That was already enough. Before he could even finish his sentence, the Inquisitor slammed her hand on the desk in anger. How dare they do such a thing? She couldn't maintain her composure. Are you saying there are still stray souls who have forgotten God's grace? Seeing her puff up like an angry little dumpling caught Gratchen off guard. A sugar-coated bun stuffed with demons. He thought for a second. Enough. This minor piece of lore was clearly a hint to accept the quest. He nodded right away. Looks like there are plenty of demons lurking around. Chistan looked at him suspiciously. Demons? You mean right inside this city? Oliver pressed further. I think this matter is well worth looking into. If any new information pops up, could you inform the temple side? He obediently nodded in agreement. Understood. Gratchen glanced at his attitude. Night shift is already exhausting, and now you get big shots dropping and forcing extra work on you. What a miserable life. But whatever, just grit your teeth and bear it. He turned around and walked outside. Thank goodness this guy is just a bundle of pixels and not a miserable office worker in real life. The Inquisitor watched his back. Where are you going? He casually announced. The slums. The two hurried to follow. Oliver reminded her with a smile. That place is a gathering spot for pickpockets and beggars after all. Let's get moving too, cleric. The Inquisitor's eyes sparkled as she looked at him. I'm learning something from him again. She rushed after Gratchen's heels. Wait for us, Demon Slayer Knight. He was still feeling annoyed. That continuous HP drain inside the temple was definitely an omen. I bet down the road some misunderstanding is going to force me into a bloodbath with the temple for real. His pace was so fast that the Inquisitor had to scramble just to keep up. Gratchen unconsciously recalled her furious outburst. How dare you say that? He suddenly felt a wave of gloom. What should I do? I'm feeling down already. His whole body began to tremble. Then again, that part will definitely have a super cool cutscene. Just thinking about it gets me hyped. But a game is just a game, after all. After everything, how could I? Nothing has even happened yet. And Gratchen was already working himself into a panic. He reminded himself, why waste energy worrying about the future? From here on out, I'll just enjoy the ride. The quest prompt popped up right before his eyes. Dark omen. Talk to the pickpockets and beggars. He felt utterly exhausted. Talk about perfect timing for a quest title to show up. The Inquisitor walked right alongside him. She asked curiously, by the way, Demon Slayer Knight, Do you actually know the way to the slums? Gretchen called her out in annoyance. What? What is it now? Do I really have to explain every single detail? Gathering spots for that kind of crowd looked the exact same in every city. Secretly, he thought to himself, just head toward wherever there's a cluster of red dots on the minimap. But he couldn't just lay it all out like that to her. My bad. The Inquisitor didn't take offense at all. Understood. I will observe and learn carefully. Gretchen thought to himself. On the minimap, any humans with bad intentions or humanoid monsters show up as red anyway. He glanced back at the Inquisitor. Whatever. Gretchen assessed the situation seriously. It really doesn't suit a girl like her to go poking around in the slums. He reassured himself. It should be fine, right? In no time at all, the three of them reached the rundown slums. Gretchen was furious when they actually set foot in the slums. He demanded, "What did you just say?" The Inquisitor fumbled, not knowing how to explain herself. He stared at the scene before him, utterly speechless. Her stubborn streak turned out to be the least of his worries. The Inquisitor screamed in outrage. "Swear before God and tell the truth." Her eyes burned with fierce anger. "Are you certain it was Temple people who took them away?" Not long ago, Gretchen, the Inquisitor, and Oliver were following the direction marked on the map. Along the way, she kept watching for anything strange in her surroundings, even a fleeting shadow catching her attention. The Inquisitor suddenly said to both of them, "The atmosphere around here feels strangely surreal." Gretchen thought to himself, the mini-map shows monsters packed tightly all over the place. His face remained unchanged, seemingly lost in deep thought. He calmly deduced, "It's time." Suddenly, Silly unexpectedly charged straight at him. Right after that, she hurriedly scrambled up to leave. "Sorry about that." Before she could walk away, Gretchen stopped her in her tracks. He questioned her coldly. "You've got some nerve." Her hands began to tremble. Silly glared at him with contempt. "Cooperate, and maybe you'll keep that wrist of yours." He thought to himself, "Knew it. An event was bound to trigger. I called it in advance, so I even prepare my lines." Based on his experience, RPGs usually mark monsters and quest objectives clearly, so they're easy to tell apart. But if there are no marks, it means they came knocking on their own. Thinking up to this point, he let out a soft sigh. I intentionally pulled a pouch of coins out of my inventory just to use as bait. But Silly cursed furiously. "Damn it, what rotten luck." Immediately after, the Inquisitor slowly stepped toward her. The Inquisitor's face gradually turned furious. She suddenly shouted, "God teaches us not to covet another's property. According to Scripture, whoever steals shall have their hand severed." Oliver suddenly stepped forward to stop the Inquisitor. She reminded her with a smile, "Upholding Scripture and discipline is noble, but you can't just apply them mindlessly in every situation." She was about to add more, but that's a sinner daring to commit a crime right before our eyes. Oliver chuckled and explained, "As we learned from the Demon Knight, sometimes tolerance is necessary too." She suddenly recalled Gretchen's demeanor. "Didn't you just say you wanted to learn tolerance from him?" The Inquisitor listened quietly. Instead of acting rashly, try approaching this matter with a mindset of learning. It seemed those words left her deep in thought for a long time. The Inquisitor nodded in agreement. "I don't quite get it, but I'll go along with it for now. So you must have your reasons." Gretchen couldn't help but feel something was off. Wait, did a vision of the Buddha just pop up? She's a priestess. Is that religion even legit? Silly yelled in anger. "How long are you going to hold on to me? Just spit out already. What the hell do you want from me?" He immediately ordered, "Lead the way to the ringleader of the local pickpockets." Once again, the group set off to explore a new location. After braving countless hurdles, they finally tracked down the guy called the Thief Boss. The Inquisitor shouted angrily, "Is it really true that Temple people took them away?" Simon nodded and recounted, "Yes, I'd swear on my life. I have no idea why you guys are asking me about that." He felt bewildered. Aren't the ones who took them away under the guise of rehabilitation inquisitors, just like you, lady? The Inquisitor felt as though she had been insolently insulted. She shouted furiously, "Rehabilitation of criminals is only permitted within periods set by the High Temple. How dare you arbitrarily impersonate rehabilitation without authorization?" Gretchen kept feeling that something was off. "Wait, that's the issue here." Oliver stepped forward to remind her. That is not the main focus right now. She turned her head back to demand. What could possibly be more important than this? Gretchen's expression changed instantly. I thought this was just a continuation of a side quest. Things are way more complicated than I thought. The temple is actually the focal point of the Demon Knight storyline. Gretchen figured out on the spot. Looks like the main plot starts right here. He stepped forward to interrogate. When did this start, and how many people have they taken? Tell me everything you know. Simon nodded and recounted. Yes, sir. It started about a month ago. They didn't take many at once, just quietly picked off one or two at a time. His hands and feet started fidgeting nervously. It looked just like human traffickers secretly snatching people away. Simon didn't forget to clarify. No, I'm not saying they actually did that. Why would the temple pull a stunt like that? I was just making a comparison. Gretchen was caught off guard. Talk about rock-solid evidence. The Inquisitor shouted from behind. What did you just say? Oliver couldn't take it anymore either. Abducting people. She stepped forward to question. Is this happening regularly? Simon's entire body started trembling. Yes, regularly. 2 or 3 times a week. The Inquisitor goes on patrol at fixed hours. He ducked and huddled into the corner. That's why I always tell the kids never to show their faces around those hours. It seemed Oliver had realized something. Her expression turned grim. Sacrifices for the demons? The Inquisitor stepped forward in shock. What on earth are you talking about? Sacrifices? Why would the church ever commit such a corrupt act? Gretchen suddenly answered her. Why would they ever? Talk about blissfully naive. He stepped closer and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. His voice was utterly calm. Believe it or not, anything can happen in this world. Inside, Gretchen suddenly got thrilled. The type of protagonist who grows when the world they naively believed in shatters to pieces. I absolutely live for this truth. He chuckled to himself. Though it's a bit harsh for a kid, events like this give characters real depth. Awesome, totally approved. Oliver suddenly asked, where did those taken people go? Simon tried to recall. Well, I only heard back from the kids, so I honestly haven't the faintest idea. Silly unexpectedly spoke up from behind. I know. Seeing her, Gretchen was a bit surprised. She hadn't run away yet. Even though her ropes were untied, she continued. I don't know where right this second, but I know someone who might. Silly's expression quickly turned serious. Hearing you mention demons, this must be a big deal, right? Gretchen suddenly stepped closer, startling her. His intimidating presence made her afraid to look him in the eye. What did you say? It seemed he was in a great mood. Pretty cute. I really like characters like this kid too. Of course, Gretchen maintained his cold front. He ordered Silly to lead the way. After a long walk, Silly led everyone to a completely different area. Monsters here were appearing in endless numbers. Gretchen didn't care in the slightest and kept pushing forward. Sensing something odd, she glanced back at the group. After thinking for a moment, she suddenly spoke up. From this point on is the real underground street. Silly turned back to warn them. So if you want to pry any info out of anyone, absolutely do not draw your sword. The people inside are extremely sensitive. She glared at the Inquisitor, especially an Inquisitor type like her. They absolutely despise temple folks. The Inquisitor was about to talk back. Like I'd ever want to mix with a bunch of thieves anyway. Oliver suddenly called out, Inquisitor. Silly continued guiding them. I'm warning you beforehand so you don't do something stupid and drag me down with you. I'm only helping because I see this as important shared business. Seeing the two bicker, Gretchen was amused. How cute. He glanced over at Silly. Is this Sundra NPC putting on a cat scratch show? It's like she's announcing to everyone. It's not like I'm worried or anything. He sank into his own thoughts. In a world with actual beast folk, I wonder if an analogy like that counts as discrimination. The moment everyone stepped inside, Jerry was quietly watching it all. He had been tracking their every move. A notification popped up. Hostile target detected within 20 meters. The second he saw the system alert, Gretchen entered a defensive stance. Silly hurriedly turned back to demand. What the hell are you doing? I told you not to draw your sword. He calmly announced. If you don't want me drawing my sword, now that you've noticed Ja Cherry's presence, you guys better put down the weapons pointed at me first. He couldn't help but nod in approval. As expected. Sharp reflex, no time wasted. Yatieri acted immediately. Within seconds, he appeared right before everyone. He continued sizing up the situation. Two-toned hair, an armored arm. It seemed Ja Cherry was a sharp individual, complete with an eye patch over his right eye. How could I possibly fail to recognize you? He conversed with a smile. Well, hello there, Sir Demon Slayer Knight. The Inquisitor looked at Gratchend with curiosity. Demon Slayer Knight, is he an acquaintance of yours? He gripped his weapon tightly, suddenly feeling confused. Who the hell is this guy? Is he in the main storyline? I don't remember any character like this in my character background. Ja Cherry waved his hand to clarify. Don't get the wrong idea. I only know you from afar. You're pretty famous, after all. Gratchend remained expressionless, staying true to his role. He asked coldly, so what do you want? Expecting me to praise you for recognizing me? He flashed an excited grin. Lord, no. Actually, I'm the one who wants to ask what business you guys have here. He questioned back. What wind blew you all the way out here? Ja Cherry continued mocking. I see you brought along the bastards from the church too. You planning on helping out with those kidnappings, or what? The Inquisitor reacted furiously. What did that wretched scoundrel just say? Silly rushed in front of her to intervene. No way. He said they came here to investigate the missing people. Gratchend suddenly found it funny. Just a moment ago, he was thinking those two were just like cats. And suddenly a guy from the Cat Beast Folk clan pops up right in front of him, leaving him completely baffled too. She repeated it to Ja Cherry once more. He said this might be related to the demons. Naturally, he remained extremely suspicious. Hold on. Are you saying the demons kidnapped those kids? His expression shifted instantly. No way. Then Cherry became doubtful. Could the temple actually? Gratchend cut him off. I don't know. Just like I said, I came to investigate the truth. Then things aren't looking good. Oliver stepped forward. Listen, I know the temple's credibility is rock bottom right now, but we came from elsewhere and are investigating this temple as outsiders. She looked directly into Ja Cherry's eyes. Please cooperate. Shouldn't we prevent further casualties? He stood still, thinking deeply for a long time. Right after that, it seemed he had reached a decision. Ja Cherry snapped his fingers, signaling to his subordinates. When his subordinates appeared, he instructed, Go report this matter. Hearing this, he asked in surprise, You plan on going in there yourself? Yatiri nodded. If things go south, I'm more than capable of slipping out on my own. The subordinate obediently complied. Understood. Gratchend thought to himself, Thieves' Guild. Is this NPC a regular customer here, or does he run the Information Guild side? He let out a helpless sigh. The guy looked vaguely familiar, but it was probably too dark to place him. Ja Cherry said to everyone, All right, follow me. He didn't forget to warn them. I'm telling you now, this place doesn't do waiting around for you guys. Those words left the three of them frozen in place for a second. Oliver sighed and complained, To think I'm running around like crazy at my age. Oliver sighed and complained, To think I'm running around like crazy at my age. The Inquisitor turned her head back with a smile. Thank you, Archmage. Gratchend had to admit, nice gains. He asked himself, looking at this quest, it seems like it pays big money, doesn't it? He couldn't shake off a bad feeling, wondering if he would finish in time before. His full dive login time ran out. The scene shifted to a bustling commercial district. Ja Cherry ducked into a small alley to scout the area. He reminded everyone, right over there. The Inquisitor asked curiously, They let people inside that place? Looking at the shop ahead, she grew suspicious. A produce shop? Oliver voiced her thoughts. I can sense a barrier, likely set up by someone very skilled. Ja Cherry turned back to praise her. You've got skills after all. Spot on. There's an extremely powerful barrier down in the basement and warehouse. Gratchend's face remained impassive. He checked the system quest log. Arrive at the location where the kidnapped victims were taken. Find a way to break in and search for traces of the missing people. Inside, he thought to himself, seeing the quest update like this is definitely the place. Oliver felt something wasn't quite right. Since this barrier only focuses on concealment, breaking it shouldn't be too difficult. Gratchend suddenly asked, There's no word about stealth anywhere in the quest log, right? As if answering him, the system prompted, Spot on. He walked straight forward. I'm heading in. Ja Cherry reacted in a rush. Are you insane? He reminded him furiously. Guards are going to swarm us like ants. On top of that, we have zero clue what's inside. He still didn't care. Not my problem. Gratchend was ready for the next challenge. He casually announced, Kidnapping is way heavier than trespassing anyway. Whatever. Gretchen walked straight ahead. If you're scared, just fall back. Everyone watched his back. So much had happened that he felt drained. Being tired, whatever popped in his head just came blurted out. He asked himself, they're NPCs, so they'll automatically follow me anyway, right? Unable to wrap his head around it, Cherry turned back and asked, is he always this reckless? Oliver chuckled and explained, we've only known each other for less than a week ourselves. She spoke in a confident tone. But I can tell he's someone who has more than enough power and grit to pull it off. The Inquisitor calmly announced, just yesterday, we caught a demon contractor right inside the shrine. His eyes turned suspicious. What? A real-life, flesh-and-blood demon contractor. She nodded with certainty. Spot on. Besides, the Inquisitor's gaze turned resolute. Although I don't want to believe it, if the shrine is truly colluding with a demon contractor and they're actually gathering human sacrifices. Seeing the situation, Cherry hurriedly reminded them. There's no time left. The Inquisitor brushed past him. If you're scared, go hide in a corner. Kid, you've done your duty just by leading us here. Oliver smiled and chatted with her. It hasn't been that long, but your thinking has gotten much sharper. She immediately retorted. I only realized it after observing and reflecting on the Demon Slayer Knight's actions. Cherry stood frozen in place, watching the two of them walk away. He sighed and held his head. Good grief. What on earth makes them so confident to charge and they're completely unprepared? Beats me. Whatever. But it seemed he was also torn. After thinking for a moment, Cherry still decided to head inside. At this rate, I'm definitely going to die young. The moment he stepped inside the house, Gretchen was already feeling exhausted. You guys look around this place. Do you really not plan on going down? He looked somewhat helplessly at the group he had captured. I've made all the preparations to head down to the basement. Gretchen kicked open the basement door. A staircase leading down appeared. Gretchen thought to himself with intrigue. An underground passage. Huh, this smell clearly means a regional boss fight is coming. After finishing this part and logging off, it'll be perfect. The Inquisitor gasped in surprise. Good heavens, did you clear out everything already? The other two said in admiration. You truly never hold back. Spot on. Gretchen shouted at them. If you're feeling guilty, back off. How boring. Idiots, I've been waiting forever. The Inquisitor tried to catch up. No, please wait a moment. Gretchen silently walked down the stairs. He froze, thinking to himself, what is this? An uneasy feeling. The Inquisitor followed behind, asking hesitantly, very strange, could it be that I feel a very powerful demonic aura from below? The Inquisitor turned back to urge the other two. Hurry up. It looks like they're planning something down there. Oliver immediately cast magic. Understood. Move fast. Gretchen thought to himself, come to think of it, this is my first time partying up in this game. I wonder how realistic these companion NPCs are. He led the party down below. Pretty exciting. Above the underground entrance, fruits and vegetables lay scattered all over the floor. Deep inside the underground passage, the party arrived at the door along the basement hallway. The padlock was cleaved in two by a surge of force. Gretchen raised his foot and kicked the next door open. The cultists inside began to panic. No. Is the summoning done yet? Damn it. Why at a time like this? The hero, Cherry, glared at the enemies with cold eyes, while Oliver closed his eyes, starting to channel his magic. Gretchen had condensed blood aura in the palm of his hand. The Inquisitor shouted loudly. That's right. Your executioner is here. One of them decided to buy time. We just need to hold out a little longer. A mass of dark aura condensed in his palm. Rise. Slaves of hell appear. And so, low-level skeleton fiends born from white bones soaked in demonic aura appeared. Oliver asked the person next to him, can you cover me while I cast my spell? He agreed. That's easy enough. The Inquisitor fought with unshakable faith. The Lord is always with us. Gretchen charged forward from behind. He declared, victory shall belong to my blade. Gretchen single-handedly wiped out the fiends. Glory belongs to heaven. He said with confidence, I won't let the front line break. Seeing this, the Inquisitor was deeply moved. She exclaimed, you're amazing, sir, but this is way too many. Determination shone in the Inquisitor's eyes. Even if I'm still weak, I was trained to hold the shield and protect the front line. Gretchen felt disgusted inside. No, the ones you kill don't give me a single drop of XP. But this quest, Don't tell me. A voice resounded. I have prepared flesh and blood for you. Birth the darkness and bring death upon this land. Higher tier skeletal fiends were summoned. One smirked and said, Gratchend, you will pay for your betrayal. Make him the first sacrifice to the darkness. A barrage of dark aura rushed straight toward Gratchend. The remaining two teammates worriedly called out, No, Sir Knight. The Inquisitor herself also noticed Gratchend's side. Seeing him surrounded, she screamed, No. Demon Slayer Knight. A sharp, cold glint flashed in Gratchend's eyes. A deep blue aura swirled around where he stood, forcing the skeletons to remain at the outer edge. The Inquisitor charged forward, slashing through them. I'm coming to save you right now. Gratchend shot up into the air, escaping the somber aura. He seemed completely unscathed. The Inquisitor breathed a sigh of relief. Just as expected, this actually worked out nicely. He brought his sword down toward where the sinister hands reached up. I'll clean you all up at once. The sword plunged down as dark aura crept upward. A powerful earthquake sword intent descended like a bolt of heavenly thunder. The Inquisitor had to use her shield to block the flying rubble. She gasped in awe. Terrifying. What terrifying power. One side stood stunned in total disbelief. That was the guy who coldly called out his name, Gratchend. Murderous intent radiated from him as he glared daggers at his opponent. Reflected in his pupils was once terrified expression. Blood seeped from the sockets of his eyes. An overwhelming pressure crashed down. Want used all his strength to summon more monsters. Kill him. Kill him right now. Quickly kill that guy. Gratchend broke through the skeleton siege and charged forward. The man ran frantically for his life. No. Fall back and save me. I don't want to die. One of them said anxiously, Wait, if we run in this direction, despair sink into the deepest depths of hell, you vermin. He swung a sword strike toward the entire group. Blood spouted violently, and their bodies collapsed onto the blood-drenched ground. The blood aura was being absorbed by him. Gratchend sighed in relief. Holy crap, I thought I was dead for sure. A notification popped up. You have just survived a brief but intense solo battle. You received damage, and your HP has decreased. A barrage of similar notifications flooded in. He thought to himself in awe, I didn't expect this skill to be so broken. Giving out such an OP skill right at the start of the game. Just how insanely hard must this game be to give out stuff like this? An enlightened game handing out top-tier skills for free? The difficulty will make you swear even after using everything you've got. But what on earth are my teammates doing? The staff in a party member's hand was radiating a brilliant glow. The Inquisitor charged forward as well. I will complete mine too. Her eyes burned with fierce determination to fulfill her duty. The Inquisitor dashed straight toward her opponent. She slammed her shield right into his face. Suffer your punishment, Jacheri asked impatiently. How much longer do I have to cover for you, mage? Oliver replied immediately. I'm about to show off too. A magic circle appeared on the ceiling, carrying a massive amount of mana. She raised her magic staff high and commanded, Everyone, take cover! The wave of mana poured down everywhere, wiping out the evil forces. Flames burned them up. They screamed, It's so hot! It's burning, help! Gratchend looked indifferently at the scene of them being consumed by fire. He thought to himself, Oops, did I accidentally say my thoughts out loud? I didn't intend to make them feel guilty at first. Jacheri gasped in admiration. Truly, all talented individuals gathered here. He asked in disappointment. Is that all? The Inquisitor reported. Knight, it seems we've cleared out the remnants here. Oliver said regretfully. It's a pity we couldn't capture one or two alive. Gratchend's eyes glanced to the side. Go over to this guy. Looks like there's a suitable one right here. Want growled. You will regret this, Gratchend. He looked up at Gratchend's hand, pointing down at him. He gave a cold command. Shut your mouth. You vermin. My name isn't something for the likes of you to speak. Gratchend grabbed him by the collar and lifted him up. Suddenly, the man curled his lips into a cold smirk. Want laughed maniacally. He replied, Say whatever you want. Everything goes according to your will. Because we are just vermin, we are nothing. However, don't forget our king still. His wound-covered hand reached out, desperately reaching for someone. From behind came the sound of fresh blood dripping down. The Inquisitor instantly sensed the danger. She screamed in warning, Dodge, Demon Slayer Knight. A massive surge of demonic aura was approaching from that direction. Behind Wan's back, a huge pillar of blood aura appeared. He gritted his teeth, enduring the overwhelming pressure. The surging blood aura blasted upward, blowing Gretchen completely backward. The Inquisitor rushed forward to catch him with her shield. She asked, "Are you all right?" Gretchen scolded. "Are your eyes just for show?" He rubbed his aching body. "My back. My spine's pain sensitivity is turned down, but that still hurt like crazy." Cherry gasped, speechless. "Man, what kind of ridiculous joke is this? Is this something we can handle on our own?" The summoned monster was a knocker, an aquatic demon that eats people whole by crawling up from wells. Its fangs carry lethal poison. They were facing something truly monstrous. Gretchen thought to himself, "A bit unfortunate, but since I didn't get a summoning interruption prompt, this must be a scripted event." The knocker's gaze swept toward them, its massive jaws open wide as it lunged forward, its body stretching out toward them. The Inquisitor charged ahead. "Everyone, hide behind me!" She blocked with her shield, praying, "Lord, please grant me the strength to stand against evil." The head of the knocker slammed heavily into her shield. The ground beneath her feet cracked under the sheer pressure. The Inquisitor let out a shout to steel her resolve. For now, it hadn't managed to break through her defense. Gretchen thought to himself, tanking that with raw power? Her muscle build really is insane. Impressive as it is, couldn't you just sidestep to dodge it? Cherry spoke up. "Is taking a head-on really the right move here? Mage lady, don't you know anything about this monster? Like a weakness for us to target while holding it off." She revealed, "That's the demon named Knocker. Its teeth carry deadly venom, and its weakness." Gretchen thought to himself, "Still, since she pulled off such a badass tank play, I should properly fulfill my role as a DPS, right?" He surged forward, aiming straight for the monster's weakness. Its head, matching Oliver's guess that its head was the weak spot. Gretchen closed in on the knocker's body. Murderous intent glinted in his eyes. A powerful aura slashed down onto its head, shattering it. The Inquisitor stared blankly at the blood spurting out before her. The other two were just as shocked. A torrent of blood gushed out from the monster. But then, Gretchen realized something was wrong. Thud! A loud noise echoed. The monster's head had now been severed by a slash. The stench of blood filled the air. Gretchen stood tall, without a single scratch. Seeing him defeat the monster so easily, Juan was stunned. He stammered, "What? How could he do that with just one move?" The girl with Want screamed in fear and disbelief toward him. The knocker's scales are as hard as steel, yet he sliced through them in one hit. At this moment, Gretchen's mind was just as chaotic as theirs. I'm wondering the same thing. But outwardly, he maintained a cool and composure appearance. Most players play this game to enjoy boss fights, getting a kick out of damaging parts based on lost HP or destroying specific body parts. For example, the knocker has specific weak spots on its body that allow players to defeat it easily. But defeating it was by no means easy, meaning no one expected its head to be chopped off with just a single skill like this. He stood there dazed, staring at its severed head. Gretchen stared intently at the monster's head, lost in thought. In the original game, this monster shouldn't die so easily from a single hit to the head. What were the devs thinking when they designed this boss? Like this? Is it really over just like that? Or is there some hidden phase coming out of the head? While he was focused on observing its head, the monster's body suddenly moved. Hearing the noise, he looked over, only for the monster's tail to whip right at him. A loud thud echoed through the dungeon. Cherry suddenly appeared in front of him, calling out in worry, "Oh man!" Seeing him jump in front to protect him, Lord Gretchen was a bit surprised. Cherry looked back at him anxiously. "You need to watch your blind spots too, sir." Gretchen panicked internally, looking at him in confusion. "Whoops, I got distracted by the severed head's calmness." "Nice save there." The NPC Cherry stepped back toward where Gretchen stood, quietly observing his attitude. He watched Cherry with a grim gaze, recalling the game's lore in his mind. But looking closely at this NPC under the light, his heart swelled with excitement as he finally got a clear look at Cherry's design. Isn't this the textbook look for a representative thief? Which subclass was it again? I forgot. Cherry felt a bit awkward under his gaze, breaking into a sweat. He stammered, "Haha, you're not the type to get hurt over a mere tail strike." Did I meddle in something unnecessary again? Please don't glare at me like that. I'll back off right away. Saying that, his figure moved further away from him. Seeing his fearful reaction, Gratchend also felt embarrassed internally. Oh no, Though he was flustered inside, he kept a cold expression on his face, saying nothing. Let's keep it at that. Whether to invite him to the party or not, I'll decide later. He turned to look at the monster, his hand gripping the hilt of his sword tightly. Seeing that he said nothing, Jacheri sensibly backed away further. Now we need to clean up this nasty thing first. Even after having its head chopped off by him, the monster wasn't dead yet. It easily stood back up to face him. A purple liquid formed a fake head for it. Ding! The headless knocker, aiming even at the last struggling sacrificial offering, strikes at its true weakness. Suddenly, the monster thrashed violently. The fake head, made of liquid, couldn't take shape at all. In this world, NPCs usually think its weakness is the head. Long story short, explaining it takes too long. Its real weakness is actually a bit trickier. The reverse scale, the scale growing under its chin, considered the weakness of Eastern dragons. Creatures in heroic myths also have this reverse scale as their weakness. Normally, it isn't revealed right at the start. You have to deal a certain amount of damage to reveal it. He dashed quickly toward where the monster stood. Watching its desperate struggles, he couldn't help but say coldly, "Stubbornly clinging to life is useless." His sharp, icy voice echoed, "All your struggling ends right here." At the same time, the sword in his hand was enveloped in a deep purple light, releasing a sinister energy. His mind was filled with mixed thoughts. Normally, stabbing the reverse scale finishes the job for dramatic effect. Using a piercing skill would look so cool. Right after coming up with that idea, he immediately took action. His voice resonated softly. The burst of power on the sword in his hand began to condense, compressing into a brilliant purple orb of light. From within the orb of light, a sharp sword shape formed, pointing straight at the knocker. The pressure wave created a gust of wind that blew wildly through the space. He suddenly froze and looked down at the ground. Before he could even unleash his move, the dragon was already sprawling on the ground out of nowhere. The reverse scale on its body had turned into a massive hole. The floor was now covered in sprawling bloodstains. Gratchend frowned as he examined the monster. Its body was glowing brightly on the ground, making him wonder, what was that just now? I clearly intended to use Earth Burst. I dumped all my remaining skill points into Earth Burst. That's why I was short on skill points and couldn't learn the piercing skill. But it clearly activated the moment I wished I had a piercing skill. What is this? A target error? Or a game bug? An urgent voice suddenly broke through his interrupted train of thought. Ron and the Inquisitor stood tightly binding Want, who was struggling desperately on the ground. She said angrily, "How could you do this to the king? You must not betray the king." Her resolute eyes looked at him as she asked, "Demon Knight, will you execute this person with your own hands?" In his heart, he thought to himself, "First, let's just finish this quest, and after logging out, I'll send a bug report." Gratchend said earnestly, "There's still one more enemy." His eyebrows furrowed slightly, his voice sounding calm. "All right, keep babbling." Saying that, he slowly walked over to where the guy was struggling on the ground. "Let's see how much of my wrath you can endure." Want looked at him approaching in sheer terror. The sharp blade in his hand slowly pressed against the man's neck. One was terrified to the absolute limit. Trembling tears fell as he stared at the sword hovering right beside him. His voice dropped, cold and sharp. "I'm curious myself." Seeing the anger radiating from him, Oliver spoke in a softened tone. "Wait a second." "Knight." Gratchend heard her stopping him and furrowed his brows in annoyance. "Planning to interfere again?" Hearing his frustration, she sighed and explained, "Please kill him as cleanly as possible. We need to submit proof to the church." Oliver urged from behind him, "Come on, hurry up. That guy's been talking so much my ears are about to burst." Hearing the impatience in her voice, cold sweat drenched his clothes. Gratchend didn't reply to her words. He just furrowed his brows and stared dead at the man's face. Fast as lightning, he delivered a fatal strike. The man's head severed from his neck, rolling a few times on the ground. Now, inside the dungeon, the man's cowardly begging voice was heard no more. Blood from his body pooled into a large stain. The group looked coldly at his severed head. Oliver spoke nonchalantly. Now let's hurry, so everyone can join in offering comfort to the souls of the sacrificed. Sutenni, yateri sait hesitanti. Sorry. Hearing that, the Inquisitor and Oliver turned to look. Now he respectfully asked them, "Could I ask you for a favor?" He said hesitantly. "We wanted to keep just one alive. Now the dungeon is filled with corpses scattered all over." Cherry spoke sorrowfully. "Many of my comrades and loved ones are lying among these corpses." His voice sounded somber, as he didn't dare look up at their faces. "I want to give them at least a chance for revenge, and to send them off properly." Seeing this, the Inquisitor spoke decisively. "Your circumstances are truly pitiful, but the law does not permit taking revenge into your own hands. Instead, the Great Church will hold a memorial service for the victims." Gratchen said nothing, merely turning his head away coldly. Seeing him walk away, Oliver followed him with her eyes. Hearing her words, Cherry interrupted in a low voice. "Ah, a memorial service organized by the very church that killed our families? That sounds overwhelmingly comforting." Hearing the sarcastic tone in his words, the Inquisitor shouted angrily, "What did you say? Don't you know those cultists were just corrupt zealots?" At this time, Gratchen was standing in front of a man lying trembling among the pile of corpses. Annoyed, her voice grew louder toward Cherry. "Other churches will conduct a thorough audit of this branch, and the memorial service for the victims will be held with utmost solemnity." Hearing her explanation, he couldn't help but smirk. "Sure, sounds real trustworthy. You aren't planning on burying them together with the cultists and labeling them as thieves, are you?" Seeing his increasingly insolent attitude, the Inquisitor said angrily, "Impertinent. We only transfer their charges strictly according to the law regarding theft." The argument between the two showed no sign of stopping. Hearing the Inquisitor's absurd words, he could no longer contain his emotions. Frustrated, he said, "Forcing aggrieved spirits to pay for their crimes. How very solemn indeed." Not backing down, she continually argued back. "Are you trying to justify theft by using the spirits of the dead as an excuse?" Unable to stomach her absurd words any longer, Cherry grit his teeth in anger. Veins bulged clearly on his face. He enunciated every single word. "Who's using what as an excuse?" Suddenly, a body was thrown violently onto the ground, letting out a painful cry. That sudden appearance startled both of them in complete shock. Gratchen approached them and said nonchalantly, "Take him." Hearing him say that, she said indignantly, "Knight." He furrowed his brows and looked at her. "If you had arrested pickpockets according to the law, finding these vermin would have been easy." Seeing him blaming her, she stammered to explain herself. He turned to look at Cherry and said, "You keep this in mind for me." His voice continued nonchalantly, "If that demon escapes, you'll be offering your neck right along with him." Hearing his threatening words, Cherry didn't feel afraid. Instead, he replied seriously, all right, that definitely won't happen." Ding! Omen of misfortune. Eliminate all enemies. Proceed to the shrine. Find the traitors inside the shrine. Seeing the notifications pop up, he sheathed his sword behind his back. Gratchen secretly rejoiced inside. Great! Now this main quest is almost done. The Inquisitor glared angrily at his face. Being stared at by her made Gratchen a bit embarrassed, his mind panicking. "Don't look at me like that, little kimchi bun. This fits my character lore perfectly, and I need to boost affinity with my future party member too." He pondered. After all, even though the pain sensitivity was turned down, his body still felt stiff and aching. All he wanted now was to take a hot bath and collapse on a bed, so logging out right about now to rest sounded ideal. The thought of wanting to rest just surfaced, and without hesitation, Gratchen gave a faint smile and said, "Log out." A red notification suddenly popped up. Command unavailable. Seeing that notification, he instantly froze. Thinking it was just a minor technical glitch, he patiently repeated, "Log out." Ding. The red notification popped up again. command unavailable. Only now did he realize the severity of the issue, standing there in a daze. Log out, log out, log out. Meanwhile, the Inquisitor stood frozen in front of him. Gratchand anxiously read each notification popping up. Command cannot be executed. A long, red notification panel appeared, all displaying unexecutable command lines. Gratchand stared blankly at each red line of command. His mind had completely shut down now. Gratchand could only stand frozen, staring at every single red notification. Suddenly, he realized a grave problem. Cold sweat poured down his body. A logout error in a VR game? Are they completely insane? His mind was now consumed by sheer panic. If news about a bug like this leaked out, the server would definitely be shut down immediately. Or is it because I'm inside a dungeon that the command is locked? A voice suddenly interrupted the chaotic thoughts in his head. Knight, the Inquisitor suddenly turned to look at Oliver and asked, "Do you see anything?" She turned back to look toward where he stood, muttering, "I don't see a single thing." Suddenly, her eyes widened in shock. In her mind, Oliver's words resurfaced. Normally, someone possessed by a demon will lose their sanity and turn into a soulless corpse. But on the contrary, that kid seems to have suppressed the demon, taken back control, and is now harnessing its power. The Inquisitor suddenly came to a halt. Her hand tightened its grip around her mace. Her face was full of vigilance. Regaining her composure, she held her mace tightly with both hands. Right then, Gratchand suddenly turned his head and walked away. Seeing his action, she froze in surprise. She asked in confusion, "Where are you going?" His sharp, cold gaze turned back to look at her. Gratchand growled out every single word. "I'm going to purge the corrupted who colluded with the demons." The two of them stood behind his back, silently observing his actions. Meanwhile, Gratchand kept tapping frantically in midair. He repeatedly uttered a single line, "Log out, log out." Seeing his strange behavior, Oliver turned to talk to her. "His condition does look abnormal, but do you feel even a trace of demonic aura?" The Inquisitor hesitated as she observed, then spoke up. "No, not to a concerning degree yet. It's just that right now, he seems entirely focused on finding a way to return home." Gratchand had no time to care about what they were saying. He could only repeat two words over and over, "Log out, log out." Seeing him like this, the Inquisitor couldn't help but say worryingly, right now, he must still be struggling fiercely against. The two of them stared intently at his back. The Inquisitor's eyes were now filled with firm determination, as if wanting to help him. Jawcherry also noticed his strange behavior and asked curiously, "Is something wrong with the knight?" Seeing him ask, Oliver gently explained, "It's hard to rush to conclusions right now." Hearing Oliver say that, he smiled cheerfully and said, "That's true. You also mentioned you haven't been following him for very long. He doesn't look like the type to share much about himself either." Hearing his carefree words, Oliver couldn't help but sigh. "You certainly have a sharp eye for observation." Hearing her compliment, Jawcherry smirked proudly. "I'm just a humble thief after all. Earning my bread and butter all relies on this ability to read people's expressions." Standing from afar hearing his nonchalant words, the Inquisitor turned her head angrily to glare at him. Seeing her angry attitude, Oliver stepped in to mediate. "Mind your words." Sensing the murderous aura coming from her, Jawcherry hid elsewhere in fear. "Oops, my slip of the tongue," Oliver said seriously. "At any rate, unless you plan on using divine power to escort him, you'd better finish off a demon contractor before taking him along. Who knows what crazy stunt they might pull." The man captured by him still lay unconscious without moving. Hearing that, Jawcherry looked toward her and said nonchalantly, "Would it still be dangerous if we cut off all his hand and leg tendons as well as his tongue?" The dungeon floor was covered in scattered bloodstains. The two of them chatted while following behind Gratchand. Oliver spoke up. "The power of a demon is fundamentally different from regular magic. That method is at best a temporary band-aid. Never lower your guard." Jawcherry also replied seriously, "I'll finish him off before sunrise today, so rest assured." Oliver turned to look at the Inquisitor and said, "Let's head up, hero." Hearing that, she snapped out of it and replied, "Ah, yes." She turned her head to look for the exit of the dungeon. At this moment, The Inquisitor was stepping closer to the stairs leading out of the basement. Her eyes were filled with determination as she looked upward. Please guide us. Walk upon the righteous path. Right now, vegetables lay scattered all over the floor of the Zomon commercial area. The sunset was gradually sinking below the horizon. The group was stepping out of a vegetable shop. Ja Cherry silently observed him, then said nonchalantly, "Thieves, we never forget a grudge." Hearing him say that, Gretchen continued walking indifferently. Seeing no response from him, Ja Cherry continued, "And favors, we engrave them into our very bones. I will definitely repay this favor." Gretchen merely replied nonchalantly, "No need." Seeing his polite rejection, Ja Cherry hurried to take large strides to walk alongside him. He smiled and said, "Even if you say no need, I'll still do it." Gretchen rejected his offer once again. "I said there's no need." Inside, he was actually in total panic. "Except for letting me log out of the game, I don't need a single other thing." Ding. Bad omen. Eliminate all enemies. Proceed to the temple. Uncover the traitors within the temple. Seeing the notification pop up, he cursed angrily to himself. Now is not the time for this quest window to pop up. Let me log out of this trash game right now. Ja Cherry walked down another path sorrowfully. "If you hate this place that much, I'll take my leave first." He didn't pay attention to his nonsense, his mind spiraling in chaos. While the logout feature was completely broken, the AI's response sensitivity was insanely top-notch. Exhausted, he looked at the notification window and said, "Log out. Log out." Earlier, I personally opened the settings menu and clicked repeatedly, but it still didn't work. Ding. Command cannot be executed. Earlier, I personally opened the settings menu and clicked repeatedly, but it still didn't work. Ding. Command cannot be executed. His hand repeatedly pressed the logout button, but to no avail. Now, he began to feel terrified. If I really can't log out like this, what's going to happen to me? I'll live alone, too. As a webtoon author currently in a lull, with no deadlines, no colleagues are going to come to my place to check on me. I also bragged and showed off to my friends about playing Legend of Heroes, so they definitely won't bother contacting or visiting my room for a long time. Obviously, if I stay stuck inside this gaming device without specialized life support fluid. He suddenly remembered, right? The device hardware is still working fine. VR gaming rigs always have integrated safety features in case of emergencies. Now he could only stand there in panic, shouting to the sky, "Emergency protocol. Force shut down the gaming pod." Ding. An eerie red notification appeared before his eyes. Command cannot be executed. Right now, he could only feel terror and fucking hell. The group standing behind him could only silently watch his crazy behavior. Right now, Gretchen could only scream out, "Log out. Force shutdown. Turn off. Turn off right now. Damn it. Trash game. Fucking bullshit. Shut down right now." Seeing his crazy behavior, Oliver panicked slightly. "What's wrong, Demon Knight? Talk to me." Meanwhile, seeing his crazy behavior, the Inquisitor walked over in panic as well. "Why on earth are you acting so crazily like this? Can't you hear me talking to you?" Hearing the screaming, the guards rushed over. "Who's over there?" Seeing the situation getting worse, Oliver grew anxious. "Oh no, the guards." Seeing the guards, her face darkened as she turned to look at him. She said worryingly, "If he goes on a murderous rampage here." She bit her lower lip tightly. "Up until this very moment, I was completely blind, knowing nothing at all. It seems there are many things I was never aware of, but that's just how life is." She stepped forward resolutely and leapt with all her force. "As for what I do know, I didn't know it beforehand either." She gripped her mace tightly, aiming toward where he stood.